Welcome to Ez Raw Live. Now we gotta wait. We gotta give it a little time to get heat up. How these things start off, but we got a lot to talk about, and there's nothing happening this weekend in boxing. MMA, you got a good Bellator card, but there's nothing really in the UFC. And actually, let's look at the UFC real quick because I don't think there's anything, but I could be wrong. Okay, we got Dern versus Jan. So that's all right. Fight night card. Is there anything else on here? Brown versus Trinaldo. Borsellos versus Jones. Yusuf versus Shanis. Yeah, so it's something to watch. I guess that's what I would say. It's something to watch this weekend. There's not a lot of boxing, but there's a lot of boxing news. There's a lot of stories about fights that could or couldn't possibly could not be made. We'll have to see how it plays out, but I did want to get into it, especially Tyson Fury, who has pissed a lot of people off, and that's kind of like what Tyson Fury does. I don't think he minds if you're curious about it. If you think that Tyson Fury is trying to be a good guy in these situations, I don't think he cares whether you think he's good or bad. He just wants you to have a reaction to whatever he's doing, and it's not a bad strategy to have. I always describe it as like just setting a tone. He sets the tone to be a liar, so he could just say whatever the hell he wants. And let me put this real quick. Let me copy this. I'll put the invite right here in the comments, guys. Right here, there you go, Broadway. There's the link. See, Broadway, he don't have no patience today. He's ready to go. I like the energy already feeling from him. Yeah, he sets the tone as a liar. And I don't know how people haven't caught on to it yet, but it's funny that people think he's a liar. Everyone, like, there's no mystery that Tyson Fury's a liar, but people are still like stunned when he lies to them. That's the part I don't get, is that people are so pissed when he lies to them. Bro, you see the link? I'm at the DM him. Yeah, like people are just so like outraged when he lies to them. Like, this is what he does. Let's see here. Okay, so he's having trouble Wi-Fi. He'll be on right now. But yeah, that's the thing. Is like, I don't understand. People are so pissed at Tyson Fury when he lies to you, because that's what he does. He lies. Now, I will say this to just, I guess, to say like how I think this all plays out. Yes, he's gonna fight Char, right? And that's not gonna be a good fight, and it's gonna be one-sided. But I do think he fights Usyk. I do think that we get undisputed next year. Danny, what's up, man? Thank you for listening. I do think we get Usyk next year till we get undisputed. I do think he gets Joshua after that. I think the Joshua fight makes way too much money and way too much sense for that fight not to happen. Here we go. Bravo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on, man?
All right. This is a nice surprise. It's a nice surprise to have you on.
Yo, bro, I'm going to need you to every Monday do it at this time, bro. Please.
Is this a good time for you?
Yes.
I'm thinking I'm going to go live a lot more during the week. I think that, I think I'm going to go live because I do the podcast like by itself, like when it's not live. But I think I got to go live a lot more.
Yeah, man, you got to go live, man. Yeah, that people like getting interacting.
That's true.
I mean, I wish you were more handsome. You probably, but not everybody can have this luxurious hair.
Not everyone can be blessed like that. Not everyone can be blessed like that. I got to work with the cards you have. Yeah.
Nah. But I hear you talking heavyweight boxing, man. How to hop on, show you some support.
I appreciate it. What's your thoughts on this whole Tyson Fury situation?
I mean, cocaine's a hell of a drug. Nah, I'm joking.
I seen someone that they commented today and they said Dyson Fury because then they had like a vacuum cleaner just snorting out cocaine.
I'm just being fun. I mean, I shouldn't joke about that, but we're just here having fun. But I mean, like, it's kind of like what you just said. That's who he is. He lies. He likes to grab headlines and shit like that. So he'll say things just to grab headlines. It's kind of like what Mayweather used to do. Mayweather, after every fight, used to retire, and that used to be news. So him retiring was news, and then oh no, look, oh he's gonna fight Miguel Cotto. Oh wow, I'm so surprised, and or it's just it's a Mayweather tactic. I feel. I don't know if you remember that era.
Mayweather would retire once in a while. I don't remember him doing it like as often as I don't remember him like Sugar Ray Leonard was infamous for retiring a group of times, right? Retired like 9 times from boxing. I just think that these guys are just smart to stay in the headlines. I mean, that's just what it is, right? Like as and I'm sure as like as like a podcaster, right? That like you have to stay relevant. You have to have people talking about you. And that's just what he caught on to. It's like I can say whatever the hell I want, and people are going to talk about it. Whether they think I'm a liar, whether they're going to believe me, whether they're going to get mad, whether they're going to be happy, they're going to believe me, and they're going to talk about me. And it works. And I'm surprised it works as well as it does, honestly, because a lot of people hate Tyson Fury. So I would think that they wouldn't buy into it, but they take the bait every time they take the bait. They take the bait. It's insane how much they take the bait. Like I joked and I tweeted that Tyson Fury could be like, I'm going to run for president of the United States. And people would be like, we've never had a gypsy president. Like they would literally talk about it. It's the weirdest thing.
No. Yeah, he definitely, listen, I'm not a fan of the way he goes about, I like, he'd be saying a lot of weird stuff and stuff like that. And the lying, I'm not a fan of it, but hey, it's been working for him. He's a very popular guy, although probably not the most popular heavyweight. But look, he doesn't have a fight lined up. He hasn't fought recently, but look, we're talking about him on your platform
all the time. Yeah, all the time. I mean, there's not a week that goes by that I don't hear someone talking about Tyson Fury. That's just the truth of it.
But let's take him at his word, which again, his evil plan is working.
Yeah.
If he was to fight Joshua, coming off 2 losses, I kind of still want to see it.
No, I really want to see it. No, I really want to see it. And I never believed it was going to happen, but I thought if it did happen, it'd be humongous. It'd be a huge fight, and I'd be really excited for it. Because, the heavyweights are so good. They're like, really, Joshua's only lost to Usyk, right? Like, it's not like he got smoked by 2 different guys. No, he lost to Usyk in the decision twice.
Yeah, I mean, he lost to Ruiz.
No, yeah, but he got that back. But the Usyk one, like no one's fighting like Usyk. Like he's not gonna have to match up with that guy again. You know what I mean? There's no one fighting like him. He fights Joyce. Joyce is a come forward. I'm gonna take your shots. He fights Wilder. Wilder can move, but not Wilder. I'm sorry. Fury. Well, Fury can move when he needs to, but he's also been more aggressive lately. Wilder is of course looking for his power shot. So it's like he can still match up well with a lot of guys. I don't know how those all play out. I think people want to bury Joshua, but I don't know how those play out. I think that those could still be very interesting fights.
No, I definitely agree. I agree. The thing is, the heavyweight division, it's always gonna grab the most headlines, and Joshua being this huge, massive person fighting a guy who makes him look small is going, and they're both British. They both speak the same language. They speak English, so like the Americans, they don't need to go through a translator, and the same thing with the people from the UK. It could easily sell over 100,000 at Wembley, and
it'll be massive.
It'll be the biggest UK fight in UK history.
Oh, it'd be amazing. That's what I'm saying, and I like fights like that, like huge events like that. So yeah, I think that's definitely going to happen. I think that what they're going to do with Joshua is they're going to take him. They're going to fight. 3 fights that he should be favored in, right? Favored pretty big in. I think he's going to do that. That's just going to be his next year, and then they're going to look to match up with Fury. I think they're going to try. I think DAZN and Matchroom are going to look to get their money's worth with at least at the bare minimum 4 fights from Joshua. And I think that it ends the 3 and then ends with Fury, and that'll be a massive, humongous fight. That's how I see it playing out. I think Fury's going to fight Char, and he's going to fight Usyk, and that's all depending on him beating Usyk, which isn't a for sure thing at all. But I would favor him right now over Usyk. So he fights Char, fights Usyk, and fights Joshua. All these things we're saying negative about Fury and saying that he's going to dodge all these guys. It probably ends up where he fights all these guys and has all these guys' names on his resume. I mean, that's probably the way this plays out, I think.
I mean, I honestly, he's so unpredictable. I don't know where he goes with it, to be honest. It's not going to be Usyk next because Usyk has an injury.
No, he's going to fight Char, I think.
He has like 1,000 mandatories. And then Char, where does this name come from?
I don't know. He needs a tune-up, and this guy is there.
He fought in April.
Who?
Fury.
Yeah, but because what's saying Usyk can't fight because he's got the injury, so
No,
he's got to stay busy. He wants to stay busy.
But why not fight Joshua?
Oh, because that's not going to really happen. I mean, that was never going to really happen.
But why do you think it won't happen?
I think for both sides. I honestly think both sides don't want that fight. I don't think that Matchroom is eager to put Joshua in right after a loss. I think they want to. He could very well lose that fight and maybe even lose it in a big way. And I think that they want to get at least 3 fights that he could win and build him up again and build his confidence again and probably build up that fight, where it could the max it could be. I think honestly that Fury would take that fight like in December, but I don't think either team really want that fight. I don't really think they do.
Okay.
Right. Joshua. Okay, so Adam said Joshua fought the worst style matchup for him in the entire division twice. I think he has a decent chance of beating everyone else in the division, even with his same form from the Usyk fights. I agree with that. I even like some of the things he did in the Usyk fight. Even the second one, I liked some of the things he did. Like boxing wise, I thought it was. I thought it was definitely getting better.
The first one, if you liked anything from the first one, just let me know so I can log off now.
The second one was better. I mean, the long body shots in the first one, you didn't like that? You like the long body shots? They did some work.
Yeah, I mean, he threw very few of them, and he started late. I don't know. I felt like, you know what's funny? So when that fight happened, I had not just started my YouTube channel, but I was pretty much new to it. I predicted knockout of the year.
Yeah, right. Bro,
I was like, damn, man. So like, I picked twice against Usyk, and Usyk is that dude. I got to put some respect on him. He's an all-time great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's crazy to say at the time. I think a lot of people thought that Usyk was about to get put to sleep in that fight. Now Wilder's gonna time that right hand, and it's over for AJ. I really want to see that fight. That's what I'm saying. AJ's like in a great spot because there's pretty much every fight you put him in, I want to see. I want to see him versus Joe Joyce. I want to see him versus Fury. I want to see him versus Wilder, and those are all mega fights. So it's like this dude is still in a very good position. He just can't fight Usyk. He just can't beat Usyk. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and man, the thing is, to be honest with you, I think if he had the mental fortitude, you may disagree, and that's fine. I think he's the best heavyweight if he had the mental fortitude, but he doesn't. So he's not the best heavyweight.
You think his cardio problems are a mental problem?
I do to some degree, and you fought before. Sometimes you just gotta fucking dig deep. You know what I'm saying? You've been there before where it's like, damn, there's 4 more rounds left. And it's like, yeah, there is 4 more rounds left. And you just kind of have to bite down on that mouthpiece. And also, I feel like he doesn't, like, you see how Fury knows how to use his size and weight? Joshua hasn't mastered that. I feel like against Usyk, that's what I would have done. I would have tried to make it an inside fight. That way, those chin concerns wouldn't be there, and just lean on him every fucking chance you get. Use that uppercut that on the inside. Even though you're the taller fighter, you're also the bigger fighter. So you're leaning on him, for 12 rounds. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of what mistakes he does is mental.
You said that about the mental, like him getting tired because of the mental, and I believe in that because, and I'm not saying like maybe it is for Joshua, but I know that for Conor McGregor, like, and I always talk about this is Conor McGregor's whole thing is mental. Like when it starts going south for him, his cardio just falls. It completely goes away, and I know exactly what that feeling is. I know exactly that feeling. It's like when you start facing a little bit of like resistance. And you feel like, oh, this is not going to go my way. You suddenly get drained, and it's all mental. Everything is 100% mental. You could be like in the second round and feel that. And I think that Joshua could definitely feel that. And maybe he felt that in the Usyk fight when he almost had him. He had him against the ropes. He had him hurt. Mm-hmm. And then Usyk comes back the next round. Joshua looked like everything had just fallen out of him. He had nothing left after that point. And it was like Usyk showed him like, hey, I could still go. You didn't beat me. You didn't defeat me. I'm still going to give you go. And I think Joshua was kind of like, damn, I gave everything I got in that last round. Because I still thought Joshua was kind of reserving himself, even when I thought he had him hurt. I was like, okay, Joshua's reserving himself because he doesn't want to burn himself out. And he was still burned out the next round. I was like, oh, even him reserving himself didn't help.
Yeah, a perfect example of somebody biting down on their mouthpiece when they were tired and sucked it up and still performed well is Teofimo in that 12th round against, what's his name, Lomachenko. If you remember, he started fading a little bit, which, he was the one throwing most of the punches. So obviously he was fading a little bit. And then that 11th round, I don't know if you remember, he got beat up bad by Lomachenko. Lomachenko really put it on him in that 11th round. to the point where I'm like, dude, is he gonna get stopped in the 12th? Yo, he comes out, bites down on that mouthpiece, and just pretty much straight up dominates. And honestly, I feel like he could have dropped him had the referee not stopped the actions due to the headbutt. Yeah, so like that's a perfect example. Somebody being tired, somebody being beaten up, and just going, you know what, fuck it. This is my night, and sucking it up and putting out a great performance in that 12th round.
Yeah, that's that I 100% believe that that's definitely possible. That's what it is. I don't know if he's going to develop that though. Like I don't know if anyone has the trait to develop that for him. Yeah, you keep saying Teddy Atlas, so maybe Teddy's the kind of guy like will focus on the put 100% focus in the camp. You know what I mean? Doesn't even allow music in the camp. Like just everything is just focused off your one goal. Like even people would say what's her name Ann Wolf. Ann Wolf is the one that had
James Kirkland.
James Kirkland, right? And she had that like building, like just like his mentality, like more than just even his skill, was just like his mentality of going in there. So I know there are trainers that focus on that stuff.
Bro, that's a fire idea, bro.
And Will for Joshua.
I love that idea. He'll never do it because he's such a fucking, I'm not even gonna say that, but he's too comfortable, man. Yo, you never training in the US, you never leaving your hometown, like your home country. And you could say Americans don't do that, but the best training, the best sparring is here in America. Like, look at Fury. Look who's his trainer, like an American, right? Why can't you go somewhere and find a Teddy Atlas and Ann Wolf and training? Even you could keep Robert Garcia, because Robert Garcia is definitely a great trainer. Go to fucking Oxnard. Go spar over there. Go train over there. Go look and talk to different people. Get out your comfort zone.
Yeah, and like I always thought that like for like European fighters, like is their development gets to a certain point and it's good, right? Like you got the European level and they become a European level champ. But I always thought like they're not seeing all the looks that American fighters see, right? Like over here in America, the sparring, like you get so many different looks. You have all the looks that you could possibly need. And I think in Europe, you kind of see like somewhat similar stuff. So you become the best fighter in Europe, right? Or like of your division, but you're kind of the best fighter over this one certain style. And then when you get to like, okay, I'm going to go fight the guys in the States or fight these guys all over the world, you run into all these different styles. That's why you see like a lot of the guys from Mexico have a lot of success against them when they go and try to match them up to get the win, because it's like a style that they're not used to. It's not that full pressure style that constantly on you, the power and all the shots. It's like they just kind of fall apart because they're not seeing that. They can't get that sparring where they're at.
Yeah, I got to give Eddie Hearn credit. He don't learn his lesson, man. Like bringing these Mexicans over. Mexicans just keep beating the shit out of these Europeans, out of these UK dudes. I don't understand. Like he's bringing Luis Alberto Lopez out there to fight Warrington. We both know how that fight is going to play out. And then he's bringing out Mauricio.
Is he a mandatory? Like, why is that matchup happening?
It's a mandatory.
Oh, he's a mandatory, right? That's what I thought. So I was like, it doesn't make sense just that fight just to happen.
Like, why would you take one of the best featherweights, for no reason? I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but so he's a mandatory. That fight has to happen.
It has to happen.
Okay, that makes more sense.
It's set, I think, December 5th or something like that.
Yeah. No, I saw the poster for it already. I saw like the announcement for it already. Yeah,
so but that's gonna happen. He is a mandatory, IBF mandatory.
That's a tough fight for Warrington, because I say about Lopez, he's the good Rolly Romero, but yeah, that's a tough fight. That's gonna be a real tough fight.
Yeah, I just love how awkward he is, but he does it in a graceful way. It's not like awkward where it's like uncomfortable to watch or like ugly to watch. It's like he's like very awkward, but it's kind of like, oh, I see what he's doing though. It's not just he's not making it up on the cuff. He knows what.
Yeah, he found a style that works best for his body, and that's like honestly what like the best trainers could do for a guy. It's like, I'm not going to make you into the fighter that I think you should be, or like the blueprint that I have. Let's see what you're good at, what your body's like. We can put this out of your body that like this is what you could do. This is highlighting all the things that you're physically good at, and that's what he did, like to the perfect degree, right? That's what his style is. Not going to be like anyone else's. It's what he could physically do, and yeah, he looks really good doing it.
Yeah, he like the way he rolls with the punches and comes back with the counters. It kind of looks like his left hook slaps, but it has so much effect on the fighter where I'm like, I don't know if maybe I'm just seeing it wrong because he tends to hurt these guys with the left hooks.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
Again, he's one of those like my sleepers. Like he's not a superstar, and maybe he's at 126. He'll probably never be a superstar anyway. But he's just somebody where I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being the best featherweight in like 2 years.
I think him and Warrington's gonna be a really entertaining fight. I think those are two good styles to match up together. I think that's gonna be really entertaining. Probably, you're probably favoring Lopez, right, on that fight.
Yeah, I think Lopez is going to break Warrington down. Warrington obviously is going to have his moments because Warrington, although I don't think he's as good, he is a tough guy. I think he'll have his moments, but just slowly Lopez is going to break him down and then get the stoppage. I'm predicting like 8th, 9th.
Yeah, I think that's why when I saw that, I was like, damn, that's a really tough fight for Warrington. And it's weird to, like I said, it's mandatory, but because they have Leigh Wood, and you would think that they'd be trying to work on Leigh Wood versus Warrington, which would be a very good fight for them and a big fight for them. But it does seem like they're heading in that direction. Leigh Wood, if they go through the Lara fight, that's a really tough fight for him too. That's a hell of a matchup for him.
Yeah, bro, come on, man. We know who winning these fights, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, that's what I always said about, even like Matchroom when they went and matched, they had a Mexican guy in Estrada and they put him in Mexico against a guy that was supposed to be a tune-up. That would end up being a hell of a fight. And I was like, whoever's picking these guys from Mexico to be tune-ups, just make him a talent scout and you would fix all your problems. Because he can't pick a guy to lose, but he could pick these guys that are damn good and underrated.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I'm telling you. You know what it is though? Like, you ever watch the fights in Mexico? All the guys, they look exactly the same when they're fighting each other, right? And they're all do pretty much the exact same style. It's really hard to tell which one's good and which one's not, what guys are good and which ones are not, because they all look exactly the same. Like, you're not, and the one thing about like Mexican fighters is they have good chins and they have good stamina. So like they're going to war, and you're like, I really can't tell this guy apart. Like if you look at Lara and you look at his tape before they brought him out there, you would not think anything special of him. You would be like, he has a big left hook, but I'm not, he's not like he's folding these guys. And it's because those guys have amazing chins. As soon as he went to fight Warrington, it was like, okay, he hits you with the shot that you're crumbling, because these guys ain't got the chins like that. It's crazy. It really is. I see why they're getting messed up on these matchmaking.
This may be a silly question, and please excuse me if it is. I'm announcing that it is.
I love silly questions.
That in Mexico they do for punch resistance.
So, as you know, I am Mexican, but I have never been in Mexico a day in my life. Now, I truly believe that no, there's nothing that they're doing. I just think that something in these people that they could just take amazing shots. They have a lot of resilience, because I remember even in Wildcard Gym, it was just like Mexican fighters just taking hellacious shots. They weren't doing anything in training that I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. This explains it. I would just say it's just something in them. I mean, it really is. I just really believe it is. There's just something in them.
Just genetics.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't think it's anything like training wise. No, I mean, there's always the rumor of you work your neck, and there are people that have really strong necks could take a good shot. That's always everybody does that to for resistance. I'm sure that helps, but I don't think that's what these guys are doing. That is separating them from everybody else.
Yeah. No. I was just curious. Yeah. Silly question, but
no, it's not a silly question at all. I think that if we have something like that stands out, we should be looking into it. Well, what are they doing? You know what I mean? You should always be doing that, right?
Yeah.
We were talking earlier in the space, and we're what's his name? Who's the guy that says Slim a lot?
Romboy.
Yeah, Romboy. He was saying that Hector Garcia is his number 2 for fight of the year, and I thought he made a very good case for that. How do you feel about that?
I mean, listen, I'm the voice of Dominican boxing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tempted to be biased and say that's true, but Bivol beating Canelo, and I'm already I think he's beating Zerto. I mean,
okay.
So those 2 wins to me make him number. I do got Garcia number 3. Don't get me wrong. I got him.
And then you have who's number 2? Or who's number 1 or 2? I guess.
I gotta go Bam. He beat Quadras.
Yeah. That's what I thought too. Yeah.
And Rung Vasai. And he had Israel Gonzalez. What was his last fight?
His last fight was Israel Gonzalez. Yes, Israel Gonzalez. Yes.
Who isn't a world beater, but is a top 10 guy.
So let's say the Bivol, let's say he beats Zerto, but it's controversial or is close, right? Would that sway you from going Bam above him?
Uh, no, I got Bam number one. Even if
Bam, you got Bam number one right now. Okay,
even if Bivol wins against Zerto, I still got Bam. Now, if it's close against Zerto, or if it's controversial against Zerto, then I got Garcia number two.
And I was thinking too, because like, okay, so we saw Bam's last fight, and I think it was in with the guy that was pretty tough, but we just didn't, we weren't aware of him too much, and he didn't have that name power that maybe Soron Vasai had or Quadras have.
Yeah,
but you've seen a little bit, maybe a fatigue in him. Maybe I don't know if he gets that fourth fight in the year, right? That they want him to get.
I don't know.
Now, if Garcia can get a one more fight this year, I think he could still fight of the year.
I mean, listen, if he could get I don't know who. Let me look at the top 10 at 130. Because
what about a Chris Colbert rematch? I keep saying this. What about Chris Colbert rematch?
I mean, it's funny. They had a back and forth on Instagram. I had posted it on Twitter, and Hector Garcia was like, "Yo, bro, you haven't even fought since I beat you. Like you get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's true.
Not only did I beat you, I beat a guy ranked ahead of you with the belt, and you want a rematch? Like, he's kind of looking at it like, or go earn some, go beat somebody. Then maybe, like, let's say your next fight would have been against Oscar Valdez. Hypothetically speaking, let's ignore promotional issues. He didn't say that. I'm saying this, but had he beat Oscar Valdez after losing to Garcia went beat Gutierrez. He could be like, "Yo, what's up? I beat Valdez. Now I want you." He could have had a case, but he's looking at it like, "Yo, bro, you ran in the fight, and you haven't done anything to prove that you deserve a rematch."
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I just think like name wise, I mean, that's a good name, and he's already right there, and there's a storyline built in.
Hey, the thing is, at 130, there's really no names. It's unfortunate that the best Dominican boxer is in a division where there's not really where he can like gain a name. Like the only other name on there was Shakur, which was never going to happen due to ESPN, PBC. And then you add another layer to it that he missed weight and got his belts vacated and announced he's moving up to 135. So it's like, fuck.
I got another name for you that I think would be interesting, and I don't know where he is with his injury, but Gary Russell.
I would love that fight because Gary, you know what's funny? You know Too Slick?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually met him in person here in New York. He told me he was in New York and he wanted to link up. So I was like, fuck it. We met up. We had a few drinks. And a fight he suggested, he was like, "Yo, what do you think of Leo Santa Cruz versus Hector Luis Garcia?" I was like, "Bro, I love that fight because it's it's a big enough name and it's not that much of a risk where he can get that win and get the notoriety like of beating a Leo Santa Cruz."
Yeah, I would. That'd be a perfect fight for him. If Leo Santa Cruz didn't move down, you know what I mean? That would have been perfect.
No, but just move him up for a title.
Yeah, shot. No, you could do that. Especially like, let's say if he beats Ray Vargas, right, and then comes up to fight Garcia. I mean, yeah, that would be, it would be interesting to Leo Santa Cruz too, because it'd be like an interesting way to possibly end his career with beating Vargas. And if he could pull off the Garcia one, then that'd be, icing on the cake for him.
No, but it's such a Garcia is such a breath of fresh air. He's the first Dominican since Joan Guzman where people who are not Dominican are like talking about him. Like, have we seen this guy? This guy's pretty good. This like people. One, I know, but I feel like everybody knew after the Chris Colbert fight that wasn't that wasn't a fluke. We all saw what we saw. We're like, oh no, that guy's good. And then if there were any doubters, what he did to Gutierrez, straight up dominated him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he did. He did. And I thought when it got a little tough for him, I thought he made it tougher on himself. I thought like he could have just continued the domination even when it got a little later in the fight where, like Gutierrez finally started landing. But I really thought that was more what Garcia was doing than what Gutierrez was doing to him.
Yeah, so like I think if you know boxing, you know that he's a good fighter and you know that he's a serious threat for anybody. And that would have included Shakur. Now, does he beat Shakur? No. I mean, I don't want to say no. I
Yeah,
don't know.
you might lean Shakur, but you don't
I
know.
might
You don't know.
lean
You got to see it
Shakur.
play out.
Yeah, but I'm not going to dismiss Garcia's
Yeah, no.
chance. Anybody south of 130.
Is how old is he? How old is he's like 25, 26?
Unfortunately, he's 30.
He's 30 years old already? Okay. I was thinking maybe move up. Does he have a possibly moving up, but
When
maybe just
I ended when as you know, I covered the event, so I was there. After the fight, I interviewed him, and he told me it's on YouTube if anybody wants to check it out. He told me that he wants to make one defense of his title. Well, at the time, he said he either wants to unify with Shakur, which we know that wouldn't have happened, and definitely now is not going to happen. And if he can't, that fight can't happen. He wants to defend his title at least once at 130. He wants to fight as a champion and then move up to 135.
Oh, so he does want to move to 135. Okay. Yeah, okay.
But he says he wants one more at 130.
Yeah, and I would look for a name. That's what I'm saying. I think Chris Colbert, the rematch, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. And Gary Russell, I don't know where he's at, but I know that he was already talking about coming up to
Give me Leo,
to 130.
Man. Give me Leo. I want Leo.
That's not bad either, but you just have to wait a while for that one. That's the only problem with that.
Yeah, it won't happen this year. But honestly, I don't think he's. I don't think like Gary had shoulder surgery. I mean, Chris Colbert seems to be like the only one that realistically can happen.
Yep, that would make sense. That would make sense. I want to see it. I think there'll be a lot of trash talking that, a lot of buildup, and that'd be good for Garcia to get a fight like that.
Colbert is definitely the best trash talker in boxing. He may not be the best fighter.
He's pretty funny. Yeah, I think he needs to be in front of a mic more.
What was that?
He needs to be in front of a mic more. I think he's funny when he talks.
I wish his trash talk was as good as his fighting skills. He's not. I'm saying like his trash is on 1,000, man.
You know that my controversial take, right? The one you're not gonna like.
Yeah, I know your dumbass take, man.
Chris Colbert would beat Garcia.
Yeah, nah. That I mean, I don't know what you saw in the first fight to make you think that, but like,
I'll tell you right now. Chris Colbert went in there, right? Because remember, Garcia was a late replacement.
Mm-hmm.
He went in there with absolutely no respect for Garcia. He went in there like if he was going to march down Garcia. And it's not that Chris Colbert never fights, right? If you see it, it's similar to honestly how Floyd fought Conor McGregor. And that's the only way I explain it. And I know that's a strange way to explain it, but that's the only way I can explain it.
I have no idea what that means, but go ahead.
Okay, he went in there with a high guard. He marched him down and thought that he would just make Hector Garcia waste his shots on his arm while he marched him down. And then eventually he would just start landing shots and applying pressure to him. Now, the one thing is when you come up with a style, especially not a style that you usually do, right? And there's a point where you can see he realizes like my shots aren't going to hurt this guy, right? So he has to get back to boxing. That's really hard to do. It's really hard to go in with one style and to come back and do another. Really, honestly, like only like really top fighters can switch styles in the middle of a fight. So Chris Colbert has to go back to boxing. In a fight that he's already losing, he has to go back to boxing, and he never, ever catches the rhythm for it. Ever. And when it finally maybe seems like he might get something, he gets dropped. Like, it's all goes south for him in that fight. I think if he starts boxing in that fight, now it's not a guarantee he wins. Like I'm saying, not like, oh, for sure, but I would pick him to win. I think if he starts out boxing in that fight, I think it's just a really different fight. And I want to see what that fight looks like if he starts out get-go.
Oh, okay. Well, you started off. Oh, it was a late replacement. All right. If that was Garcia with 3 weeks notice, imagine him with a
that's a 100% a fair point. That's what I'm saying. It's 100% a fair point. I think the fight just looks different in the rematch. I'm not saying that it's because it was a late replacement. I'm just saying that Chris Colbert is the kind of guy that that he has a little bit of arrogance to him, got a lot of confidence to him, and I think that he really thought like this guy's not on my level. He's a late replacement, and he thought like that process. Now I'm not saying that.
He definitely did overlook. He definitely did overlook.
That's what I'm saying. So I just think the rematch. I just think the fight looks different.
There's video evidence that that he over like in the press conference, they were like, this guy Garcia, he got a lot of knockouts. He was like, who the hell he knocked out? And then they talked about his amateur experience. He's talking about he don't care about his amateur experience. And it's like, yo, the guy has 300 amateur fights. I mean, I think you should care, bro. And he was like, oh, he a bum and this and that. And he really just thought Garcia was sweet. and that was far from it. That was far from it.
Yeah, like man, think about Garcia's whole career change off this late notice fight. Like whole thing, like it's completely blew up now. Like he's completely a top level fighter. We're talking about possibly a fight of the year, just because he was ready for his late replacement. Like a lot of fighters, like take, they get out of shape or they do all these things, and this dude was ready to go. He
No,
was ready to go.
and what's amazing about that is uh his trainer Ismail Salas was I think he was in Scotland training Robesi Ramirez. So he had to train with his assistant trainer in what's his name? Bob Santos, who now is his full-time trainer. But point is, that was kind of like not only did they take the fight on 3 weeks notice, he also had to start training with his assistant trainer, not his head trainer. So there was an adjustment period there. Like that story of him beating Colbert is pretty remarkable. It's a great story, man.
Okay, I maybe you did a podcast. I remember you announced something, but I don't know if it ever happened. What happened there with the trainer?
I got Ismail Salas side of the story. I ain't get Bob Santos side of the story. So
Okay.
Ismail Salas says he first of all, this is me, Broadway Joel talking. This is not from nobody.
Yeah.
This guy spreads himself thin, man. This guy got like fucking 1,000 fighters. So this is again, that's me talking. That's not nothing nobody told me.
Yeah.
All right. So now, so whatever. So Ismail Salas, he went on Facebook Live and he was saying that he got cameras all over his gym, right? And that he could see, from his phone if something's happening in the gym.
Okay.
He was in Japan training a Ioka for a fight. And the Dominican fighters, he left with his assistant. So Salas claims that Bob Santos wasn't taking his fighters to the gym. He said, "Yo, I was checking for my phone, my cameras. They were never going to the gym. So I called him like, yo, what's up? Where my Dominicans at?"
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, your wife that Bob Santos was like, your wife not letting me bring my fighters to spar. They not letting me to bring sparring partners. So I'm taking them to other gyms to spar." He's like, "Yo, that's not true. Like my wife would never say something like that. Would like I've run a gym for this long. I know about it." So he called his wife. His wife said that was a lie. And also Bob Santos, he has 2 sons that like help him out, like give water to the fighters, like wrap their gloves,
Yeah.
shit like that.
Yeah, assistance.
He's like, yo, his son's always in the gym talking shit, like, distracting the fighters from training. And so where they left off was he was like, he told all the Dominican fighters, he goes, "All right, because Bob Santos originally is a strength and conditioning coach. He goes, all right, you use Bob Santos outside of my gym, but don't bring him to my gym, and I'm gonna just train you here." So they all agreed. And then last minute, he was like, "You know what? Fuck that shit, yo, and I don't want to train none of y'all." So he got rid of all the Dominicans.
Oh, so he decided that.
Yeah, he dropped.
Okay.
So it was Victor Santillán, Carlos Adames, Hector Luis Garcia, Alberto Puello, and Eric Mini Pac-Man Rosa.
And so they went and started training with the conditioning coach as their head boxing trainer?
Well, yes, because Bob Santos, he's been around boxing for a long time. Like he's worked with Robert Guerrero his whole career, and a few of the fighters, and so he's been around boxing for about 30 years. And he's like, this is his first time being a head trainer, but he's like, I was the one who trained Garcia for the first fight, so you have to give me credit for that.
Yeah.
He trained Puello for the fight against Akhmadov, and he trained Garcia for this fight. He's like, yo, like I interviewed him, and he didn't want to talk about it. He was like, "Oh, listen, I'm leaving all that in the rear view mirror. I'm moving forward, blah blah blah." But when we talked about it, he was like, this is the most important time of his life. This is when he's becoming a trainer. This is his first time having a full stable. And he's like, "Hey man," and he told me that he at one point for the Colbert fight that they were running low on sparring partners, and he got in there and sparred with Garcia.
What the hell? How old is he?
He's like in his 50s.
Oh, okay.
But I'm
It's like,
sure Garcia. I mean, I doubt Garcia was blasting
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just getting his work in. He was just getting some rounds in.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
like Sean Porter and his dad when they had a spar.
yeah. So basically, yeah, that's how it is. I mean, like I said, the guy's been around boxing for a while. Actually, when I went to Vegas and I met up with Garcia and Puello, it was in Robert Guerrero's house. They were trying. He has a big garage where he made it into a gym, and
Okay.
yeah, it was Robert Guerrero's house. It was pretty cool.
Oh, so that's where you were at for when you took a picture with them?
Yeah, yeah, it was Robert
Oh,
Guerrero.
okay. That's crazy. That's a crazy story. I didn't know. I thought for some reason they left. They all abandoned Ishmael Salas, but
I mean, they were upset that like, yo, the guy's going to Japan to train Ioka. Then he's in Scotland training Robesi. Then he's in the UK training Joe Joyce. And then it's like, all right, when the fuck are you gonna like? We came out here to train with you, and you in all these other countries training. Like we training
yeah,
with all your assistants.
that's what happens with all the trainers. You know what I mean? You notice that when a guy gets when a guy becomes the name, right? And I'm sure that happened to Sauce when you guys won, right?
Yeah,
That when they become a name, they get all these guys. Everybody wants to go there. They're the new hot camp. They're the new hot trainer, and everybody wants to go with them. And you saw it with Canelo's trainer, right? I've seen this happen with Freddie Roach. I've seen it happen with everyone, right? You get a guy comes in, this is the guy. Everybody goes to him, and then what happens is they get way too many guys, and they can't train them all. It's just not possible. It's not possible, honestly, to train all these guys. Some guys are year round, and it's also too like these guys' schedules. Like some guys need to be year round. They can't. They have to constantly be in the gym. They need someone constantly watching them. Then there's guys that I'll come in just right before my fight. And to get all those schedules work, it's just not gonna work. And then you're gonna be with his assistant who is an assistant for a reason. You know what I mean? And then it's you're getting less. And I've seen it happen to a lot of good fighters before. They're
yeah. But
just suddenly with the assistant.
and that's what Ismail Salah said. He tried to justify. He was like, I'm not the only trainer who travels and trains other people and has a lot. And he goes, everybody does that. Like, and he mentioned, he was like that Lara didn't have his trainer in his corner for the Paul Williams fight. And he's like, and nobody criticized Ronnie Shields for because he was busy. I forgot who he was training at that time. He's like, nobody criticized him. He goes, it's just as boxing. When you're a big time trainer, you're gonna have a lot of fighters. They have to understand that. And, I was like, I see his point, but I also see like the other guy's points. Like, yo, like you only get one career. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and if you're not priority, I mean, for any fighter, I would. That's what if I was a manager for a fighter, and I'd be like, if you're not priority here, let's go somewhere where you are priority. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's the thing because like you said, you only have one career, but also like there's just boxing takes so much like intricate things, and it's like a football head coach just like, oh, I got to go coach another team for right now. It's like, well, what the hell? We're in the middle of this, and it was just like, well, that's what holding happened with Canelo's team, right? That the guys were like, hey, we were there, and we weren't even working with the head trainer. We were working with his assistants, and they're not going to see what he sees. They're not going to be able to take you to that next level, or if they would, they have their own gyms. So like that's usually how it plays out. So yeah, they made the right decision, in my opinion, to separate from him if they're not getting the attention they need. And obviously, they were not priorities to him.
nah, exactly, bro. And now they got Bob Santos. One thing I could say is Bob Santos actually cares, man. Uh, they will. So when I went to Florida, all the Dominicans were out there. They were telling me how, and Dominicans were very religious. They were telling me how Bob takes them to the church every Sunday with him. He brings in a spiritual spiritual coach to the camp to help everybody you know spiritually, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And he also brings somebody who like a mental health coach, like to make sure they right. So he genuinely cares. And they were all telling me like how they were bringing guys to the gym and he would train them for free, work their corner, wouldn't charge them, like, you know what I'm saying? And all that seems to pay off now. He
yeah.
did a lot of.
He put the work in to gain that trust and put his name out there.
Yeah, and I have a good relationship with him. It's amazing, bro. Oh, I'm glad I'm on this live with you. I just want to say thanks, bro. You gave me this. You gave me the nickname "Voice of Dominican Boxing." It
Yes,
was just
sir.
kind of something that stuck with me, and I really am the voice of Dominican boxing,
You
bro.
are. I'm telling you. I didn't say empty. I knew exactly what I was saying. When I said it, I said that's exactly what this guy is. And I knew it. I was like, this guy has he's got the thing here that he's gonna capture because no one else is doing it. And dude, I'm telling you, you are the good luck charm for Dominican boxing because it has blown up from that moment. I'm telling you right now, it has blown up from that moment. It's amazing. It's an amazing run.
Yo, it's insane. I like. It's amazing what's happened this year, man. Edwin De Los Santos was the exclamation point to what happened August 20th when we got two champions, man.
Yeah, it really was. I tell you, when that happened, that's why I was like, "Oh, this is." I mean, we had to talk about how amazing this is. And
No,
if I'll
but
tell you right now, if you were talking about this Dominican card, if it doesn't happen now, it makes zero sense.
yeah,
If it doesn't happen right now,
the thing is, that I had on Nesta Gibbs from the Boxing Voice on my channel, right?
okay,
And what he told me, he goes, "Yo, there's just certain Latino demographics that just don't buy tickets." He's like, "Yo, Mexicans and Puerto Ricans, you know they're gonna buy." He was like, "Yo, Cubans, they put a fight in Florida, nobody fucking shows up." That's what he says, and I'm like, "All right, but they haven't done it with Dominicans in New
yeah,
York."
well, yeah, find out. You know, what I mean, you can't just say, you know, what I mean, find out if they go or not.
And on top of that, when the fuck would like what Dominican fighter in 2008 would you have wanted to see in Madison Square Garden? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
Like
like now
you gotta take that chance and find out. If you have
we
all
got
those guys on one card,
yeah,
there's some. Come on, there's gonna be buzz.
and they're cheap. They're cheap. You tell me
Yeah,
how much money is Garcia making? Come on, how much
yeah,
money is Michelle making? How much money is Elvis making? How much money are these guys making? These guys ain't making fucking $5 million each. They're making hundreds of thousands. You
yeah.
put all of them on a card against decent opponent, and I guarantee you that our people will show up, man.
I believe it. I believe it. It's just like one of those things you can just kind of feel it, right? Like there's a little movement going. You got enough buzz. I think the word is going to spread. I think that would do well, and I think they should definitely try it. I mean, to find out, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, again, they need to focus on making Michelle Rivera and Elvis Rodriguez a star. Elvis Rodriguez, he got the good looks, he got the power, he knocks people out. He's in the best division in boxing, in my opinion, and or in second, according to you, because I know you like 115.
115, yeah.
Yeah, but you know you can see what I'm saying when I say 140 stacked, right?
No, yeah, it's the depth in it is insane, and it's
So
so much depth that there's depth in two promotions, which is rarely happens in a weight division, where
yeah,
two promotions could be like, yeah, I got a full stable here, and the other one's like, yeah, I have a full stable here.
yeah. So it's like he's in the perfect division. He's good looking. He has connections to there's a Dominican rapper who has over 1 million followers on Instagram who be reposting them on his IG every now and then. You know, he had that buzz from ESPN. He fought on the Canelo undercard, so they have that. They need to make that guy a star. And the same thing with Michelle Rivera. Michelle Rivera, he's in 135, which is also I don't want to say blazing hot division, but it's a division with Haney, Garcia, Tank, Loma. You know, those are names, and we could get these two guys. They're young enough, you know, and they both have their shtick. Michelle Rivera. Some people don't like the Muhammad Ali thing. Some people
I
do.
don't
But
I hate that
point
so
is,
much. I
people
would
talk
lose it if I
about
was him. I would lose it.
no, I would too. I would too. But point is, it's kind of like what we were saying earlier with Tyson Fury. It's something that people are gonna talk about. Oh, I hate it. All right. Oh, well, now you're talking about it. Now you know who he is,
Yeah, that's true. I think that he needs and he should be asking for every day the Rolly Romero fight.
bro. Me too, man. But
I think that's
Rolly
the
don't
name.
want that smoke. Rolly,
Maybe not. But that's the fight they're looking for. Look for him, or I'm looking for Frank Martin. One of these guys. I'm saying, give me then. If I can't get Tank, give me the next. Give me give me a guy that is in the top five that we have of the PBC under the PBC universe. Those one of their top five guys. Give me one of them. Anyone. Give me Cruz. Give me Isaac Cruz. Give me
I
one of them.
I told him that once he gets his fight announced officially with an opponent on October 15th, he's fighting on that Wilder undercard that I'm gonna have him on my channel. So I'm definitely gonna be like, yo, you got to do a little bit more in terms of like making your name out there with these opponents. You got to press these dudes or something. Crash a fucking press conference.
No, well, I mean, look, he's gonna fight on this card, win, get someone an interview, and just say if Tank don't want to do it, and just go at Tank, go at the whole thing, and then just be like, I'll take Rolly Romero. If he doesn't want to do it, I'll take Cruz. If he doesn't want to do it, I'll take Frank Martin. If he doesn't, and just go the whole list and be like, there has to be someone willing to do it because I'm willing to do it. That's what he needs.
I don't like, to me, if I'm PBC, right, this is what I would do. And maybe I mean, depends how much punishment he takes in this fight. But if he could get out unscathed, I'll put him on the undercard against Rolly Merle on the undercard of Tank versus Ryan, if that happens, and then put Isaac Cruz against De Los Santos on that undercard.
I love that. That'd be
stacked. That's a full lightweight. Losers could fight each other, and the winners could fight each other.
Underrated thing of those things is their schedules match up. See, that's another thing that people don't think about. Schedules have to match up, right? You put the guys on, and they fight like 3 months apart. Then you're like, how are they going to fight each other now? You put them on the same card, right? The schedules match up. That's the best part. You leave that with winners being able, like you said, winners and losers being able to fight each other, and on the same schedule. 3 months from now, 4 months from now, they'll be able to fight each other.
That's what Don King used to do with the heavyweights. I don't know if you remember. Don King used to put a whole heavyweight card, and you'd be like, wow, what are these big dudes fighting on these? Yeah, you know what? And then, like you said, in 2, 3, 4 months later, they could fight each other. Why? Because they fought on the same day.
In the late 90s and early 2000s, those cards were terrible, though. But yes, he did do that. But those cards were god awful. In like the early 2000s, I would say they were at their worst. I was here. You were on here. Yeah, you were on here, and they were telling me that. Oh God, Polo was telling me that like Samuel Peters could compete with heavyweights today.
Oh yeah.
Goodness gracious.
The thing is, Samuel Peters had crazy power, but at heavyweight, power is overrated because everybody could punch.
Yeah, and it was like power at that time. Like I'm telling you, everything at that time, I was not like. I don't think it compares to today. I really don't. I
don't think he would beat Fury or Joshua or Wilder. I don't think that. But I do think he can crack, and at any moment he could end the fight. But at heavyweight, everybody has that equalizer.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, look at Fury was never like known for being that heavy of a puncher, and like look at him now. He's like a KO artist.
Yeah, you know I remember Wilder calling him feather-fisted at the press conference, and he's the one who got knocked out twice.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it was, you guys are big enough. You know what I mean? He can land on you. You're going to be a problem.
Yeah,
what'd you think of Joe Joyce? Did you see that fight?
I did. I came away impressed with, like, I've never been a Joe Joyce fan. Let me just start that off because he's so fucking slow, man. But I don't know if he's doing something that's like, I just don't know what he's doing. That it's effective. It's effective, and I know he got power. I want to know if he's really left-handed and just fights orthodox, because his jab
is powerful. Goodness gracious.
Oh. And knowing that left hook, look how he ended the fight, and he was landing left hooks throughout the whole night.
Yeah, you know what he has is he has underrated distance. He actually has underrated legs. He keeps a good distance the whole time. He's putting pressure on you, and even when he gets on the inside, he takes a step back. He's like in perfect range to hit you. Like his range pressure is pretty damn good. Like there was points in the fight where I thought he took rounds off, but he was still like making Parker work just by being in his range. It was like, hey, I'm in your range. You're gonna have to do something. You're gonna have to move. You have to punch. You're gonna have to do something. I'm gonna force something out of you. His legs are very good. I think his legs are really good. He's slow as molasses. I agree with you on that. I compare him to, like, honestly, like a tsunami. Like, like a tsunami, when it hits, the most damage that happens is from the debris in the tsunami's taking, right? It's taking all this debris and smashing into people when it goes into them. Mm-hmm. That's what he is. His range pressure is the water, but then he's hitting you with shots, and you're getting hit with all this like debris, and it's like I can just see everyone just breaks. Everyone just falls apart. And I was just thinking, like, Joseph Parker, who is just going to react. He's not a guy that is calculated with this stuff. He reacts. You get in his range, he's going to punch. And this guy was just like, okay, I'm constantly in your range. How long can you do this? And you could see right away that he was like gassing out. Like he was like, I'm not gonna be able to keep this pace.
No, no. I listen. He did a great job, man. Controlling the distance, hurting him with the jab, like breaking. I've never said this, but he literally broke him down with the jab.
Yeah, yeah,
and
he did.
and if you can land a power jab consistently, and as powerful as Joe Joyce is, he can hurt anybody because a jab is very easy to land. Even if you're a great boxer, you're gonna hit with a few jabs throughout a fight, especially if somebody has a sharp jab. And if he can land his power jab consistently on anybody, he has a shot.
Yeah, and his best ability is his chin. I mean, I was thinking, I think I retweeted what I tweeted when he fought Daniel Dubois, and Daniel Dubois was supposed to be the gifted fighter in that fight. He had the speed, he had the power, he was a guy that had all the gifts, and then Joe Joyce was just a big lumbering guy. I think Joe Joyce is the most gifted, one of the more gifted guys in the heavyweight division. He was gifted with the best chin in the world. He could take any shot right on the chin, and he is not going to phase you. Like that right there, and the stamina for his size are amazing gifts. Like there are some of the most natural ability you can possibly get and ask for in the heavyweight division.
Is there any truth to the rumor he's half Mexican?
I hope so. I'm
joking.
He's straight from, I know you're joking, but I hope he's straight from TJ. Honestly, that'd be beautiful.
Solid, man. He walking around just walking through punches in the heavyweight division.
That's why him and Wilder to me is like the most interesting heavyweight fight. It's an immovable object versus unstoppable force. I mean, that's just really is. It's that chin versus that right hand. I want to see it. I need to see it. That's not what I want to see. I need to see what happens. It's almost like a scientific experiment at this point. It's beyond a fight. I need to know what wins.
Unfortunately, we're gonna get, if Wilder beat Helenius, we're gonna get him against Andy Ruiz.
Yeah, and I don't I think that fight's gonna have a lot of buzz to it. I think Wilder puts him to sleep. But yeah. I think that fight's gonna have a lot of buzz to it.
I agree. I think Andy Ruiz peaked at that AJ knockout, and then I haven't liked what I've seen from him since.
The weird thing is I kind of liked the Areola fight. I thought that he got dropped. Fight. No, I know, I understand that, but like it's kind of reminds me almost like the Ryan Garcia when he got dropped by Campbell. It's like once he got dropped, I know that everything was going to be negative from that point. He did some good stuff in that fight, and he actually boxed pretty well. If you see where he kind of like starts moving backwards, I was like, I kind of like what he's doing in here.
I mean, but he didn't get the knockout like Ryan did.
No, that's true. But I don't know. Just things I liked in it. And now he changes trainers. He kind of goes back to his old style of like, he waits for you to come in and he's going to respond. But I thought when in that Areola fight, when he's boxing, I was like, I think there's some interesting things that he could learn. He could kind of keep building off of it. And he just, like I said, the trainer switch, they don't have the same vision for him. And he's obviously just going to stick to his style. Do you give him any chance against Wilder?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so either.
I feel like Andy Ruiz is not going to outbox Wilder. And because just the height difference is too much, right? And then, all right, so that means, let's just say I was picking him to win. It would have to be by knockout. So I'm like, yo, that's not happening, man. He's not knocking Wilder out. Wilder, he's a tough dude, man. Like, and we'll I know we disagree as far as where his skills is. One thing we can say is he don't have heart, and he fought really, really hard in those 2 Tyson Fury fights. And the one he got stopped, the corner stopped it. He wanted to continue, and he wasn't necessarily like, falling all over the floor. Although I'm not too against the stoppage, but I what I'm trying to say is like he didn't look chinny. Same thing. And the same thing in the third fight, he got stopped, and that was a pretty vicious knockout. But that was after taking some brutal punishment for fucking 11 rounds straight.
Yeah, a lot of fighters say like, "Oh, I'll die in there. I'm gonna go to war. I'm gonna keep coming, even if I'm hurt. I'm gonna keep coming." And they don't really mean it, right? They don't really mean it. They don't know until you're in there, right? You don't really know if someone means it. Wilder means it, 100%. He means it. I 100%. If he has a pulse, if he can still stand, he's gonna go in there looking to knock your head off. He will not give up in a fight, even if he's taking a brutal beating. He doesn't. He is 100% backs 100% what he's saying. If he's saying he'll die in there, I truly believe that he would. That's just his mentality, and it's been proven. To me, you can say that all you want, but it has to be proven. Okay, it has to be proven. He's proven it.
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. He's definitely proven it. And again, I'm not necessarily a fan of him or a fan of his style, but I'm not going to take away that he's a fucking warrior, man. That dude is definitely somebody who will go out in this shield. And that's something, whether I like him or not, I have to respect.
I think he's getting older. I think he's like 38, 39 years old right now.
Yeah, I don't know if he's that old, but he's definitely at
Let me see. I think he is. Yeah.
I think he's like 36, but I could be wrong.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be it.
My internet
Wilder is. I hate when they don't have the age. Like, what? Well, that's the one thing I need. They don't have that. Let's see here. Yeah. He's 36. Oh no, we got time with him.
Okay. Yeah, I told you. I knew. I'm like
Joe Joyce. Okay, I'm gonna say Joe Joyce is older. I think he's like 38, 39. But let's find out.
I believe you're right there. I believe you're right. He's like I think he's 38 if I'm not mistaken.
Joe Joyce is 37. Oh, we got time with these guys. Heavyweight, that's still good. You're still good. Yeah, we can still make that fight. I haven't gave up on that one. Oh, Huey had us. At 37. Thank you, Huey.
Yo, hold on. You got Huey on, man?
Huey's on the comments. I sent the link, but he didn't join.
No. That's not wild. Yo, Huey, when the fuck are you gonna start that YouTube channel, bro?
This is true. Huey's got a better setup than I do. I mean, that's the honest truth of it.
If I was to see Huey in the street, I was stone cold stunning him, man. Just off the strength of that. I'm like, yo, go support his podcast. I'm thinking my man had a podcast. What's up?
He's got to get it going.
Huey, my guy. Huey's definitely my guy, and he knows he's welcome on my channel anytime. But damn, bro, start that channel up, man.
Carlos said he got the YouTube Premium now, so he's ready to go for the rescoring. You know how I feel about that. He was laughing. He'll start it up. It takes a lot of steps. You know, it's hard to get past that thing where you're like,
I think he was just intimidated. He's set up so well. He's a knowledgeable boxing fan. Honestly.
Oh, he was sharp when it comes to boxing.
Yeah, he knows boxing.
He's sharp when it comes to MMA too. He's sharp when he watches jiu-jitsu. Like, this dude knows his stuff. Yeah, when he starts it up, it's gonna be very interesting.
MMA. That's not. I'm not necessarily against it, but I don't know shit about MMA. But he knows boxing, and he has connections through me, through you. I don't know if he knows truth, but point is, he knows people in the YouTube boxing community. And my man hasn't started something. Man, just start it. Start it tomorrow. Make a fucking logo tomorrow. Think of a name tomorrow. Just make a 4-minute video.
Yeah, it's true. I'm telling you though, like as far as like these lives, the lives are kind of intimidating. Like they take a little time to, like sometimes I just sit in front of my computer for like a half hour and I'm just like, oh, I have to get this started.
But why do you get intimidated?
I don't know. It's just because you have to be like you're going live, like it's live. It's like sometimes when I do my regular podcast, like I take like 3 restarts. Like I'll stumble out the gate and I won't be feeling it. And I'll be like, okay, now restart that. And this one, you got to get going. And sometimes like I don't have a guest, like, right. Like say if you weren't doing this today, I just have to be talking to myself. Now, 40 minutes in, I could keep going. I could go about 3 hours, right. Talking to myself. But you have to get that point to where you get comfortable. So like, especially if I take a break from doing the live, if I take a 2-week break from doing a live, going back to a live is really hard. It's really challenging.
I mean, you know what it is? I guess I got the experience, but like I'm used to now, like talking to myself. And you know what's funny? I used to get people calling in all the time. I used to be like, yo, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. Anybody wants to call in? Yeah, I used to get callers all the time. Now, yo, sometimes I'll be begging I'll be like, yo, could one of y'all fucking click the link? Like, what's up?
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, it's hard to get people to get the chat, but it is what it is. I'm like, I can talk to myself all day. Like I said, I like the sound of my own voice. I'm one of those people.
Have you gotten a prank call yet?
Yeah. I got one that got on the podcast, and then I get those people like where they're just on the bottom, like in this the hangout area right here. And if I look at it, I'll just be like, nah. And usually I only put on people that I know because I don't want a chance anymore. I had a guy in here who's just like yelling the N-word like 1,000 times. Like, not gonna deal with that. So,
oh man, yeah. Nah. The only thing I've had on is somebody called me I had just made a video. I don't know what I said about Devin Haney, but it was negative though. It wasn't a positive.
Yeah, okay.
And somebody called, and I'm like, "Yo, what's up? Like, what's your question?" And it sounded like a 14-year-old. He was like,
Yeah,
"Hey,
yeah.
man, you're fucking biased, man." I was like, I forgot what we were talking about. We were talking about something like where I couldn't be biased. I was like, biased about what? He goes, delete your channel. You're biased. And he hung up. And then I was like, what the fuck? That was some weirdo shit. Call back, motherfucker. So I'm telling him to call back. And then he starts writing in the chat. And I'm like, he said, you're a clown. I was like, your mother's a clown. And he was like, you gonna start talking about my mother? I'm like, bro, how you gonna disrespect me and then get mad when I disrespect you back? And he was like, and then he started talking, and then he said, "Oh, what you said about Devin Haney and this and that." I was like, "All right." I was like, "Well, why don't you call back and we can have this conversation?" But he didn't want to call back. He didn't want that smoke.
Do you remember when I said that Devin Haney had like one of the weakest undisputed runs? I was like, he has like one part of the weaker undisputed runs. I put it on Twitter. I mean, I've never been called like a racist more in my life. I've never been attacked more verbally. I mean, that was a long day. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I went to sleep that day, I was so tired. I was exhausted.
Yo, but I don't understand. Like, what I don't like is that people like really like if you disagree with them and you're not of the race of the fighter you're disagreeing with, you're automatically racist.
Yeah, I that day I felt that. That day, that's what I felt, and I was like, I don't know. And then I went on like with the spaces, and I was getting attacked there. And of course, I'm not gonna just I'll back up anything I say. I don't just say just to say it. And I'm not gonna run from what I said. So I went and backed it up what I said. But it was just tiring. It was a long day. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I went to sleep that day, I was like, this is a long one. This is a long. And I knew it was gonna be a long one when I woke up because I looked at the thing and I had about like 100 tweets back at me, and I was like, oh, what did I tweet that was like this crazy? And I saw the Devin Haney one. I was like, oh, today's gonna be a long one.
No, yeah, that happened to me. That Twitter space thing you saying is I said that I was having a debate with Lefty on the timeline. I was like, yo, Wilder's not a super skilled heavyweight. Like I don't know what you're talking about, and that whole thing like went to a whole back and forth. And then I mentioned I was like, all right, he fought when I was like his best win is Luis Ortiz. Then once he stepped up to the I was like, this is what I said. I was like, your best win was Luis Ortiz, right? And if we're being honest, that doctor's like saved him with that whole checking him after he got hurt, and I want to say it was the 7th round. And I was like, and that was him stepping up, and that's his best win. And then once he stepped into the elite, he got knocked out twice. Like he never beat an elite fighter. Like how is this guy skilled to you? So he grabbed on to that. Oh, you don't know the rules of the New York State.
No, I saw this. Yeah, I saw this.
And this and that. And I'm like, so once we went on the Twitter space, it was like 19,000 people talking over it. I couldn't even get my point across. I couldn't even get my point. They don't even know what my full position is because I couldn't talk. So that's why I decided to do that live. I don't know if you saw it, but I decided to do that live.
Yeah, I saw the beginning of it. Yeah, I saw the beginning of it. That was like when I had to go to that meeting.
Nah, it's all good. I figured I knew you would have hopped on if you could, but
yeah, I wanted to get in that conversation.
Yeah, I'm like, if people and nobody called me a racist, but I'm just saying in general, like, that's happened to me before, like where I'll tweet. A matter of fact, it happened because I was going pretty hard on Devin Haney for a minute because I just was really unimpressed with his performances against Linares and Jojo Diaz, and people were trying to say like, "Oh, he beats Tio" back when Tio was still undefeated. I'm like, what makes you think he beats Tio after looking at how he looked against these two inferior opponents, and Tio just beat Loma? That was my argument at the time. So like people were saying, "Oh, I'm just racist. It's because Tio's Hispanic and I'm Hispanic." I'm like, yo, you guys think like there's a Hispanic fucking like I don't give a fuck. As if you're not Dominican, that you just another person to me.
You know what, too? Like I was because when I first got on like on boxing Twitter and stuff like that, like of course I'm on like Chicken Talk all the time now. I talk to everyone, so I'm cool with everyone now. Like they know where I'm coming from when I say something, right? We have a relationship now, right? We know each other. But there is a lot of racist stuff though on Twitter. So like I get like, you know what I mean? Like on boxing Twitter too, like there's a lot of people that just are because of like their race and they're just against black fighters and stuff like that. So I understand that because I see it now, right? Like I get it. And I guess that's just where it comes from. It's just like people are just used to seeing like the racist takes and all that. So I can't necessarily blame them too. But like that day, I had to make sure I got on a space to defend it because I didn't want people to think that of me. You know what I mean? So I was like, I can't have people saying like, oh, he's racist. That's why I had the text. So I had to get on there and be like, okay, here's my opinion, and it's nothing to do with race, and explain it because of course I don't be considered racist. You know what I mean? So,
no, of course. Yeah. Like I said, the only time I've been called racist is when I was criticizing. It's funny, we both got called racist for criticizing Devin Haney.
Yeah, Devin Haney's a touchy subject. He's a touchy subject.
I guess I don't know. I don't know, but I don't remember what I was saying, but I remember saying something to the effect of what I mentioned earlier about how like his opponents weren't necessarily that impressive for him to be like one of the four kings. I'm like, when has Devin Haney showed you like, whoa, like that's something I can't see? And then maybe that one time he scored like a really vicious left hook knockout, but I'm like, Devin Haney, I mean, Ryan's knocking people out like cold in 1 or 2 rounds. Tank's knockout percentages is crazy. Tio knocked out Comey in 2 rounds and then went on to beat Loma. I'm like, these guys are showing me that they're like elite, like special, like, yo, these guys may make some noise. But Haney, he wins fights, but like I haven't seen anything that really amazes me. And that shit let off the fucking the wolves on me, man.
Oh, I had a conversation on the space earlier, and I want to hear your opinion on it. So I was saying, right, so Devin Haney's undisputed. I'm not taking that away from him. He's undisputed. Mm-hmm. To me, he has the best win even at 135 this year, right, against Kambosos. That is the best win at 135. There's no one has matched that yet, right? I'm getting my boy Frank on here. Wait 1 second. Okay, I got you on here, Frank.
What's up?
Okay, so what I was saying though is, so he has the best win at 135 in my opinion against Kambosos, right? He's undisputed. I got that. Now, if Tank and Ryan fight each other, the winner of that, would you have him above Haney?
In my personal opinion, yeah.
Yeah, right. So that's what I said, right? I think that. Now, if Haney fights Loma and he beats Loma, then I would have him above them still, right? Because he would have enough wins. So what we were arguing with, well, they didn't beat him because he's undisputed. But to me, it doesn't matter because to me, it's resume. Because you could get undisputed or you could get belts through a political system. You could just be in the right place, right time, and the belt fall in your lap.
But he's lineal too. Whether you care about the belts or not, lineal has to matter.
No, okay, that respect to it, right? But let's say he stays that, but he keeps fighting lesser competition, and you got, say, Tank fights in this. I'm not saying this is possible, but he just say he fights Ryan, he fights Lomachenko, and he fights Shakur. You can't be like, oh no, Haney's still the top guy. You can't. There's just no way. No matter what belt he has, no matter what gold trinket he has around his waist, it wouldn't matter at that point because this guy has proven it with a resume that is not going to be able to be matched.
No, yeah, someone. Let me just, because they were talking about Inoue versus Fulton, and they just just interesting. Does Inoue need to beat Butler to tell you he's the best? No, does he have to become undisputed before everybody says, oh no, that guy Butler, he really has a shot. Anyway, he's not the best because he has to beat Butler. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to use your own reasoning and head. And the reason I jumped in is because what you said, like, honestly, I don't think you have to explain yourself to anybody about your boxing takes. I mean, like, I have some hot takes that I know you guys probably won't agree with, but that's what makes it interesting. Like, you don't really have to explain yourself.
I like a good hot take. I do, but I do think you kind of have to back it up. I think you do kind of have to, like, if someone's gonna say, okay, what do you mean, or they want to discuss it. I don't like. Okay, but I'll put it this way: I won't say anything unless I can fully have an argument for it. And Broadway knows I'll say some wild stuff, but I'll have an argument for it. I won't say anything that I can't argue or I won't have a reasoning behind. I just can't do that because there are guys that will do that. There are guys that will say something and they don't have any reason behind it. They just want to say it, and then you're like, well, what the hell? Like, you just saying anything. I mean, you could just say anything. Anyone could just say anything.
But
So
since I've been on these spaces, like I'm a fan of Triple G, but it is kind of hard to defend him. I mean, if you really, really break down
yeah,
everything, it's hard. It's hard to defend him. All you can say is, look, when you watched him, you felt you were watching the best. Like even a former fighter I used to love, Tito Trinidad. But if you really break down his resume, it it's hard to defend him sometimes because he did get, to me, he got beat by Oscar De La Hoya, even though he got the win. So try explaining that.
bro, you did the scoring for that one. Was that a robbery?
Nah, it was not a robbery. I had it 7-5 for Oscar. 2 people had it a draw. 1 person had it 7-5 Tito.
And was there enough swing rounds that in your scorecard that you could have made a case that Tito got a draw or a 1?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I do remember that there was a lot of rounds where kind of like nothing happened. Like it was not a very exciting fight. Like, honestly, Oscar was the better fighter. He was.
Do you remember Oscar, how much bigger he was than Trinidad? That's what surprised me the most. I mean, his shoulders were huge. I mean, Oscar was massive. No homo.
Now, what I do remember is Oscar taking a foot off the gas. He would have he was the better fighter. He was.
Oh man, he was dolly shuffling. He was jabbing. He was landing the right hand. Tito had no answers. He had none.
It's just that Del Hoya shut it off in the second half.
He ran.
Second half.
He
ran.
ran.
Second
He
half.
blamed Alcazar from my memory.
Yeah, Del Hoya blamed every trainer though. Like, Del Hoya had so many trainers, and there was always their fault. And it's like, hey, dude, like, you got to own up to some of this.
No, but honestly, at the end of the day, you're the guy in the ring, man. It's to some degree.
Yeah.
And you if your trainer told you something, like I have a friend of mine. He's a professional boxer. He actually lost by knockout of the year. Rocky Juarez knocked him out in the 12th round.
Rocky Juarez, I remember that dude.
Yeah.
Who's this guy? Your friend? Who's your friend?
Antonio Diaz.
Oh yeah, I remember Cello, right? It was Cello.
Cello. Yeah. So this guy was a rough dude.
He was considered. He was at the top of the food chain. Like, he was no pushover.
Nah, not at all.
Oh, Antonio Diaz. Yeah. Of course.
This dude he never became world champion, but anybody who fought him will tell you this dude is no bum. Damn. All right, just real quick, I'll just say this. When he was coming up, he was knocking motherfuckers out. Like, a lot of these, like, taking fights on like 2 weeks notice, 3 weeks notice, and he fought 3 fights in a row. One was a 3-time New York Golden Glove champ. One was a 4-time New York Golden Glove champ, and the other one was a 3-time Golden Glove champ. Three of them. And the guy who was a 4-time Golden Glove champ, he broke his nose. It was blood, so much blood in the ring that they had to bring a mop to like clean it up afterwards, so the fights can continue. That's how bad he broke his nose. But anyways, getting back to what I was saying about him is that he was saying that he was dominating that fight against Rocky Juarez, and his trainer's like, you gotta get a knockout in the 12th round. You gotta. So he went for the knockout and he got knocked out. But he's like, why the fuck would you tell me when I was clearly dominating the fight? He goes, I just did what my trainer told me. But he goes, my trainer's telling me, yo, you got to knock him out. And he's like, when they showed him the scorecards after, he was up. He felt he was up. And his trainer admitted later, he was like, he was up. But, we're in his hometown. We don't know if you're going to get the decision. But he's like, yo, you sent me out there like a wild man, and I got knocked out. And it was knockout of the year, too.
Okay, I don't know if I'm looking at the right guy. You said to Rocky Juarez?
Yeah.
Okay, I might be looking at someone else. Someone different.
Antonio Cello Diaz.
Yeah, because Antonio Diaz, super lightweight. No, because Rocky Juarez is smaller than that.
Wasn't he a 30-pounder? I could be wrong. I don't remember the weight, but
yeah, no, I'm looking at the wrong record. I know this one, Antonio Diaz, but there's must be another one.
He also beat so Don King has signed the Olympic gold medalist from Cuba, and he beat him too. He went in as an underdog, like just to build up his resume. And he beat the shit out of this Cuban. and then Don King signed him after that. He's like, who the fuck is this guy? Just keeps fucking knocking out dudes on short week notice and fighting undefeated fighters and Golden Glove champions, and he just knocking everybody out. He didn't knock out the Cuban guy, but point is, he was scoring a lot of upsets. So he has a really good, interesting story. I told him I got to have him on the podcast one day.
Hey, bro, you didn't answer that question though about the Lomachenko and the resume part of it, right? About over the titles.
No. Yes, I would say that like if you're ranking them from a perspective of like, all right, who's the best lightweight? I would rank like whoever has the best resume. But if you're ranking them from a perspective of, all right, what's the order of accomplishments? You kind of have to especially the lineal title. Forget the belts. The lineal title definitely has to mean something because that's where you can trace back the history of boxing. But think boxing is now more a fucking a business than it is a sport, so there's no value in it. So that's why some of these fights don't happen.
Yeah, and also remember, title could be on the wrong side of the street, and okay, let's say Hector Garcia, right? Like Garcia possibly can't get the other titles because they're just on his side of the street.
Yeah.
Right now, we're gonna hold that against him. If he goes and beats Chris Colbert again, he goes and beats Gary Russell, he goes beat Leo Santa Cruz. I'm supposed to say the guy across the streets is equal to him because he has another bout just like him. No, I can't do that.
That's why I said I would agree. I would agree with you. I was just saying from a
historical. Go ahead.
Yeah, I get you.
You kind of just got to own your takes. Like I was talking about Triple G. What's his best win? Daniel Jacobs.
Dan Jacobs is best.
And it's like,
but I will say this about Triple G. And like you said, when you watched him, you felt like you're watching one of the best guys, right? He did. He had the skill. He had the skill, right? He definitely had ability. Now he never proved in the ring to me that he was the elite of the elite. I thought that, like I said, people call me crazy. Another one that I took a beating for. I scored the first fight for Canelo, right? Versus him, right? I scored the first one, Canelo. I scored a second fight for Canelo. I never thought that he proved that he was like the elite of the elite to beat a Canelo. I never thought he did that. And I thought even in the Daniel Jacobs fight, it was a close fight. I thought it was a competitive fight. And I don't think Daniel Jacobs was the elite of the elite. So I knew when I saw him in the fight that he fought Canelo, I was like, this is a really high level, really high skilled fighter. But there's still other stuff that gets you that you can secure a win like that, where it's like heart or just something. You have something in you that could pull out those rounds when you need to. And honestly, I just didn't think he did in any of those fights. So that's what I'm saying. To me, it's always going to be what do you do in the ring? Not anything that you win in a circumstance or nothing that it's what did you do in the ring? Who did you beat?
Yeah, but that's always within context, and that's why I think Triple G is the best example right now, because we're talking about these lightweights and they're not fighting each other. So who's the best one? Well, Tio was the best one because he fought Lomachenko, who at the time was considered the best one. These other guys have not fought each other at all or anybody. So we're gonna have to.
I would say Haney has, and this is why I have Haney number one right now. He has Jojo Diaz.
He was never a 135er. He was his best weight was 130.
He beat Fortuna at 135. He beat Fortuna. And that was a good fight, and that's a good win. And then he beat Jojo Diaz, and he beat Cambosos, right? Those are two good wins. Compared to the field, and Teal's not a lightweight anymore. Compared to the field, he has the best wins. That's in my opinion. Now, I say if he goes and beats Cambosos again, I don't think that's going to do amazing for his resume beating this guy again. But if he fights Lomachenko, he's gonna solidify it. It's like there's not gonna be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yeah, if he beats Lomachenko, then it's like Tank would and Ryan would have to beat each other and then beat someone else after that. So what I mean? So he's gonna put himself in the lead here. But he has to do it though. That's all I'm saying. It's just that you can't just be like, oh, he has a belt, so that's it. It's just to me, it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't make sense. It's not the way boxing runs today. It's just not the way it works today. It's got the way we look at it has to catch to the business.
Yeah, but and those takes, that what you were saying, that's what I was elaborating, is those takes will get you crucified on the YouTubers and the Twitters.
Maybe so the people, like I said, that's why. But like I said, I won't say anything unless I can back it up with some kind of argument.
But don't you say that's what we do it for? Because we're all here in this space, or we go in the other spaces. Like I see you all the time. I see your boxing takes. Some I don't agree with, some I do. So we kind of gotta just stand on those. Like I always try to take a baseline, hardline approach. Like, am I going to go a resume? What standard am I going to use? Because there don't really seem to be a standard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I go off resume. I always go off resume.
Yeah, I don't know if we're talking pound for pound list, but let's just say we are. Me, the way
No, just to back up our takes on whether fights are happening, not happening, who has the better resume, and like the next thing is going to be the Ortiz Haney because they're both going to fight this upcoming month. Like with with Baumgartner, like we're going to get those questions answered, but the fights that we're looking forward to, like Eubanks and Ben, that ain't going to answer no questions. You understand what I'm saying? But go ahead, Joe.
No, what I was going to say is that part of it is, just using your boxing knowledge and you know, and the cream rises to the top. Like, for example,
okay.
if you no, what I'm saying is if you make enough right predictions, you you can convince, you can defend your argument most, that your arguments will be more respected and more sought out. Like, for example, if people are predicting these upsets, like how I predicted De Los Santos was going to upset somehow, now next time when I make a prediction about an upset, people might not be so dismissive.
You gotta pay attention now.
People go, all right, hold on. Last time I told this guy he was a clown for picking De Los Santos over Rayo because I thought Rayo was the next Julio Cesar Chavez, and it's like, all right, let me listen. You get what I'm saying? But if I would have picked him and he would have got smoked and won, I would have looked like a fucking clown. Not like a clown, but you know what I mean. Like my opinion have been as validated.
Yeah, but then what the counter to that was that, well, Royal, he's just a youngster and he wasn't really ready anyway. It's like, man, no matter what you say or what you pick, people are gonna have an answer for that.
There's always gonna be that. Yeah, there's always gonna be that counter. Yeah, there's always gonna be that. There's always gonna be like, like I said, if I'm be honest with you, a guy hasn't lost without an excuse in a long, long time. It's been many years since a guy lost without a reasoning behind it. So you know what I mean? That's always going to be there. Something that's always going to be there. There's always going to be a reason why someone lost, and it's going to be, it's never going to really. It's a lot of times not going to be the credit to the guy that beat him. It's going to be a lot of reasons other than the guy beating him, and that's going to happen too. But like I said, and I think I agree with Broadway on this. It's like if you keep going and nailing your takes, and then I think what the problem you see in a lot of takes, and even from writers, from everyone, is there's a lot of people have chosen a team that they're going to be on. Right, they've chosen a team, whatever team you want. However, they chose a way they're going to look at boxing, and everything is going to fit their opinion into that. The way they chose to look at boxing. I don't do that. I won't do that. I watch everything as if it's brand new, and I try to. The opinion I have from it is what I took from that specific thing. My prediction is not a prediction on what I hope. I'm not a fan of fighters. Like, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan of. I don't have a favorite fighter. I don't have. Oh, I want to see this guy win. I want to see this guy have success. I don't have any of that.
Whoa. You telling me you're not rooting for the Dominicans, bro? Don't get me fucking pissed off on here, bro.
Bro, as much as I love you, and I root for your opinion. I root for I root for good things for Broadway. I do that every time. I root for you. So yes, I do root for Dominicans. I root for Broadway, but I root for my own opinion. 100%. I root for my own opinion. When I pick something, I want that to happen.
Listen, 100% man, of the time. If you want your opinion to be better, start picking these.
You're right. I mean, I can't even deny it.
Out here picking against this, man. We run boxing. That's it. Dominicans run boxing.
Well, maybe.
The Dominicans are on an amazing run right now. I'm not denying that they're on an amazing run right now. And
people get so mad. People get so mad
when I look foolish.
But what you're going to talk about boxing knowledge and making your predictions. What makes it hard is the politics of it all. Like it would be, well, nothing will ever be easy in sports, but especially in boxing because the politics, the networks, everything just gets so muddled and confused.
Yeah, I mean it's you can't talk to me, and this was another thing that we were talking about was as far as like resumes and stuff like that, is you can't talk boxing without talking the business of it. And if you are talking boxing without talking the business of it, you're not telling the true story. And there's no way you can explain why a guy has fought for a bout and the other guy didn't without saying, without explaining, well, this guy's on this side of the street and that worked out for him because he made this move and he got aligned with this team. And if you didn't tell that story, right, and you would just say, oh, no, Tank and Ryan and these guys are cowards and this guy, he actually is vulnerable. It's like there's a lot to the story.
A perfect example of what you're saying is Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Errol Spence has 3 belts. He has the better resume, and it's like, do we think Crawford a better resume? You know, and at welterweight, like, do we think Crawford wouldn't have fought Porter, Kell
Okay.
Brook? Who's the other guy he beat for Ugas if he was with Top Rank? Like, do we think that, or do we think that
Yeah, just
that
on the wrong side of the street.
yeah, he was on the wrong side of the street and he fought who he could. He did his best. Now he's a free agent. Now they're trying to make the fight, and maybe now he's negotiated from a perspective of lesser than because he doesn't have the most belts, but it's not from any fault of his own.
And that's why I said, like, the business of it. The funny thing is, like, there's so much pros and cons to the business side of it, and I think people only talk about the cons. But the pros of it is there's something to talk about all the time in boxing, and that's what everybody wants. They want your sport to be talked about 24/7. In boxing, you literally could do that. The con of it is you have to get everybody to the education level of what we have on boxing Twitter, of people that look at it every day and start to understand these business moves. And there's people that understand it way better than even like what I understand, or there's like people that are inside of it, right? And they can explain like, oh, this happened because of this and this and this, right? And it takes a lot of effort to get to that knowledge, right? But once you have that, you could start understanding boxing and it starts becoming a lot more enjoyable, right? But a lot of times with people that are casuals, they just see these guys not fighting and they say, why is that not happening, right? That's just a frustration of it.
So okay, they're quick to be like, boxing's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me say something about the business of Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, because I heard 2 things, and I argued for Terrence Crawford. I didn't really care. I just went in because the guy was bad mouthing Bud so much, so I was arguing for Bud. But okay, so what they were telling me is that Bud is holding with the fight because Earl is automatically, because he has the 3 belts, got the 65-35 split, and if Earl had made it 60-40, then he was being generous. So Bud had to accept that. Now, another person who is on the inside said that, no, it's a 50-50 fight. And I said, you mean like 50-50 in terms of odds? He goes, no, the purse is 50-50. It's a 50-50 fight. So it's like, that's what I'm talking about, the business of boxing. All these people are talking all this nonsense and they have no idea about the actual business of it. And the reason it was 65-35 is because Earl has the 3 belts. And so Bud needed to just accept that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't think anyone really knows what the terms of the argument, what they're debating. I don't think anyone knows like, oh, they're taking this split, because remember, it's not a mandatory, it's not anything. So the split is going to be decided per contract. It's decided per negotiation. It's not, no one's determining the split besides the negotiation. There's no sanctioning body being like, well, he has this many belts, so he's going to give this split, and this guy's going to take this split. So no one truly knows that. And to be honest with you, that part could be agreed to. Like, there could be another thing that they're debating. So I don't know that. I'm telling you, it's not to say it's 50-50. I don't agree with that. I don't think Spence and them will allow it to be 50-50 because he's the selling point of the fight. I mean, if we're being 100% honest, he sells more pay-per-views than Terrence Crawford. That's just the fact of it. So I think that what Crawford's negotiating chip is this is possibly the biggest fight that Errol Spence could have. Right, this right here is single-handedly possibly the biggest fight he can have besides Canelo Alvarez. Him moving up some outrageous amount of weight to fight Canelo Alvarez. This is the second possible biggest fight. So that's his negotiating. It's like you can go somewhere else, but it ain't gonna. It doesn't have the high ceiling here. Now, what Showtime and PBC are saying is it has a high ceiling, but it also has a really low floor. We don't know what the hell pay-per-view numbers is going to do. And we don't want to commit so much money to a guarantee if we don't know what the pay-per-view is going to do, because that's really risky. It's putting our neck out. So I think there's multiple things that they could be negotiating. But as far as the split, no one knows. No one knows where they stand with it.
But what they should do is they should guarantee each like $3 million, right? I know that sounds low for a fight this big. And then have like, all right, if it sells 300,000, it's an extra 2-3 million for each, whatever. I'm making up a number. And then if it sells 400,000, 500,000, and then have it like in the contract written where the promoters and network isn't taking as much of a risk, but also the fighters will be compensated if the fight sells as well as some people predict they will.
The fighters won't do that though. They're not going to do
that. Well, the inside info was that Bud wanted 15 guaranteed to start.
What?
And I heard that even before, way in the beginning. He wanted 15 in the beginning to start. and as of late, they're telling him that it's about 8 or 9. So
That
So
sounds
that's where that's where it stopped.
So I'm just because like I said, Frank, maybe I'm sure your source credible, whatever. But I just want to say we don't know those numbers, right? Like let's just say we're just throwing those out there, right? I don't know those.
These are
numbers
the
for sure.
rumors, but
Yeah,
the,
that's what I'm
like,
saying. The rumors, but
substantiated rumors.
Yeah, they could be outrageous or they could be dead on. We don't know. I don't know those numbers.
Well,
I
no,
think
but that sounds reasonable
no,
because
it sounds
he
reasonable.
got
I
6 million for Porter, so obviously it would be double for the biggest fight.
Yeah,
This is what they're thinking.
Yeah, so you would assume that he would want around 10 million guaranteed. I would assume that, right? And the reason
Well,
why
you're going to start high at 15, right?
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
want
yeah.
10,
Work your way down, and
you,
then work your way
you
down.
start
Yeah, yeah.
at 15.
So I would assume that they want their most they can get guaranteed because, like I said, no one knows. Everyone's done pay per views, and all these guys are experts and in their field. No one knows what this number is going to be. It could be $1 million. It could be 300,000. They don't know. So they're not. They want to get the guaranteed for sure that they're taken care of. And if it does more than that, they're going to get the pay per view. They're definitely going to get a pay per view split on it. They'll get more than that, but they want to get the guarantee because they don't know what this is going to do. And that's what the fighters feel. That's how the promotions feel. That's how everyone feels. That's why it's so complicated to get this deal done.
Yeah, well, the business end of it comes into like the things that we talk about, and like I'm talking about takes. And now, if it doesn't happen, then we're all gonna have to pick. Well, then Bud dug Crawford because he wasn't willing to negotiate, and then Earl dug Bud because he didn't want to make a closer split. So you can see how it starts to seep into.
I'll tell you right now,
the content.
Do you guys? Oh,
go ahead, bro. No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say two things. One, do you guys think this fight happens in November 19th, which was the rumored date? And two, do you think this fight happens this year at all?
Dude, I think it never happens.
I think it happens. I think it happens. Now, whether it's end of this year or beginning of next year, I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think November is a real date anymore. I just can't see that being possible. That would be
I rush everything. Hotel in Vegas for November 18th and 19th, just in case. And now that I'm looking at the date, I'm like, yo, ain't no way that fight happens that day.
No, I don't think that's happening.
I have brief cancellations.
So my first prediction was I always thought it was going to be a kind of round table the way they did Hopkins De La Hoya. I always kind of felt like they were going to do something like that, like 2 fights and then the build up. So
okay, I get you. Yeah.
To just milk it for
on the same card, yeah.
Not on the same card. You do 2 separate pay-per-views to set up the main pay-per-view.
But do you remember Hopkins and De La Hoya? They did the same card.
Okay.
If they did that, I hope both of them get knocked out.
Why? What's wrong with you?
Come on, man. I'm tired of fucking waiting, bro. I've waited 3-4 years.
Dude, because I'm thinking they want to maximize their dollar. That would be the best way to maximize the dollar.
I don't think they're going to do that, though. I don't think they're going to do that. I think that would, but they were younger. They definitely go somewhere with that belt. I think they're just trying to make this fight happen now. And I think that honestly, if it gets done, I think all the credit should go to Spence. I'll be honest with you. He's making, I think, the most, like I told you, negotiation wise, like Crawford doesn't have a lot to stand on besides that it's the fight that Spence wants. And this, despite that, and also it could be the biggest fight for Spence, but really Spence is the proven commodity here. He is. He just is. He's a proven commodity. He's proven that he could pay-per-view success. He's proven that he is a bigger event, and the fact that this fight's happening is really just because Spence is going to make some. He's going to give away a little bit more than he probably should to make it possible. I really believe that. So I think Spence does deserve a lot of credit if this fight gets made.
I'd agree. Considering, like you said, he has the bigger pay-per-view numbers. He's the more proven at that weight division. I'd have to agree with you.
More belts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He got it on all fronts. You know what I mean? He's the guy that's giving up the most, I think, in my opinion. But I think it's going to happen. I just don't think that November date's real anymore. I don't think that's real anymore.
And it's unfortunate because, again, like, yo, they got to give people time to, like, book their hotels and then flights and shit like that. Like, again, I booked my hotel, man, just in case. And it looks like I'm going to have to cancel it because I don't think the fight's happening that day.
Yeah, I don't think this.
Yeah, I do think that another date that's being rumored is December 17th, but like that was rumored for Ryan versus Tank if that fight happens. So it's like, I don't know.
I don't think that's one fight I don't think is happening at all. Like I don't think it's happening.
What they doing on social media? Like it seems like they in cahoots.
I feel like they've been doing that though. Like I feel like they've been doing it for a while. But I'll tell you one thing. Maybe they think that the fight is going to happen. But when they do that, and then you see De La Hoya tweet like, "Oh, have your management call me," he's letting that very clear that he is not in on these talks, or he is not in agreement with these talks. And I just don't see it happening. I really don't. I can't see this fight being made, and I can't see it being made without the zone. Like that's the number one thing. I don't see Golden Boy doing this without the zone, because the zone's gonna be like, "Well, we're the only ones working with you, right? Like you were the only ones giving you a network deal. You're gonna go and take your business elsewhere." I can't see that happening.
Yeah. This is boxing.
Yeah, like this shit don't make sense, man. Like, yo, I just honestly, I'm very disappointed with the last since July. I've been very disappointed with the fights we've gotten compared to the earlier parts of
We
this
started
year.
off really, really strong.
We started off smoking hot, and now I can't remember the last time I've been excited for a fight. Like, damn, I can't wait for Saturday. Oh my God, man, it's only 3 days. I can't remember the last time. Like, well, I don't know. Fucking
Charlo Castano?
What?
Yeah, it's pretty
Charlo
dry.
Castano?
Charlo Castano, maybe that one. I was also excited to see Stephen Fulton against Roman.
Yeah, I thought that was good. That was a Haney night too. Haney Cambosos night. Oh no. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
It was.
Yeah. I thought Fulton stole the show that night.
Nah,
I thought Fulton stole the show
that night. But yeah, my point is that like boxing, we kind of lost a little bit of buzz right now, man. The last
the rumors were good though. Like we had the rumors of Joshua Fury, you had the rumors of Ryan Tank, Spence Crawford. Like you know what I mean? The rumors of what was going to be amazing.
I'm not gonna get hard off of fucking getting a girl's number, bro. Did you?
Sometimes you just need a confidence booster. You know what I mean? This is
one
of those. You know what I mean? Make you feel good. Make you feel good inside.
Yo, bro, if it that guy.
Go ahead, bro. See what you need to say.
No. What I was gonna say. I back mad chicks and I ain't get to seal the deal, man. It ain't the same, brother. It ain't the same.
Let me tell you something right now. I have a podcast. The more rumors, the better. Keep giving me rumors. I love them. Like, keep giving me a lot.
Yeah, see who's Janabek fighting. Then he's rumored.
Oh, he's fighting Bentley, and it's a guy that like I said, exactly. Janabek is not going to be able to get name opponents. He's going to go on a run right now of a bunch of guys that you've never heard of, no one's ever heard of, and he's going to knock them all out. That's just what's going to be. I'm like I said, I'm a Janabek. Like I said, I wasn't a fan of any fighters. That's not necessarily true because I am a Janabek fan, but I'm an honest one, and he's going to fight a bunch of guys that no one's heard of, and everybody's going to complain, and he's going to go on a run where he's going to knock these guys out, and it's going to be Andrade-like. I mean, let's just be honest with it. It will be Andrade-like, except that he's going to get him out of there. He's not going to box him for 12 rounds.
No, what he needs to do is do what Triple G did. Triple G was very active on HBO. He was fighting I don't know if you guys remember. It was for a little minute. I think he fight like 5 times in 1 year. I could be off, or it was 4 times. But he needs to do that and just keep knocking motherfuckers out. Eventually, that ESPN platform is gonna put you on the map.
So the ratings, they announced like the ratings so far for this year, and he's the lowest rating of fights on ESPN. He's the lowest rating one too. So that
he's not a main event. Why
he was a main event last time? Yeah, he was a main event last time.
No. What I'm saying is he shouldn't be on main event. That's
what I agree with you. Yeah, he should be the co-main event.
Yo, put that motherfucker the co-main event. Look, that Shakur fight right there. Boom. That was 10,000 people there. All right. Then you put him on the undercard of Teal's next fight. Then you put him on the undercard of whatever. You guys got Haney and Loma. Like, you guys got fighters that they're gonna draw. Put them on the fucking undercard.
I'll tell you right now, Top Rank, as far as they're in a good position right now. They figured out their roster. They figured out like they got Shakur, who's a star. They have Haney, who could be a star, and they could lock him in. They could get the Loma fight with him. Bring Shakur to 135, Keyshawn Davis in that weight. Like they got Teal's back. Like they have a lot of things working for them right now. Like they did figure some stuff out.
I got a hot take, man.
Go ahead. I'm ready for it.
What has Keyshawn Davis showed us to think like he's this like can't miss guy? Like, I'm not saying he's a bum, and I'm not saying he's not
Thank
gonna.
you. Nah, bro. You know that ain't a hot take. I feel the same way.
Yo, like he looks good to me. I'm not again, but
Yes,
does he
he
look like?
does.
Does he look like? Damn, like oh my god, this dude is nasty. No, he looks like a regular good prospect who's coming up.
Okay, so I think he looks pretty damn good. Now I would say off the last fight. I mean, maybe off the last fight, he's like, I think he looks really good, but he wasn't like, oh wow, off of that last fight. I think the ones before he looked pretty damn good. I mean, he looked pretty dominant. He's also in his sixth fight. You know what I mean? So he's on a sixth fight, and people are talking about, could he compete with the top guys in the weight class already?
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah,
yeah, and he's already, he's got the Olympic thing to him too, so he has like the pedigree to him. There's a few things, I guess, but like I said, he's not a for sure thing. Like I wouldn't say he's a lock. No, he's not a lock, but he's definitely a very interesting prospect. I mean, could you name another prospect right now that you think is like, oh, this guy is way more interesting than Keyshawn? He's way more of a lock than Keyshawn Davis.
I mean, not with 6 fights. I can't name you that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But to be fair, like how many fighters with 6 fights have I seen every single fight? Like,
no, that's true. He has a lot of attention to him because of who he is. I'll give you that.
There's a lightweight. That top ranked guy. He's 15-0. His name is Raymond Murataya. Give me that guy.
Yeah,
give me that guy over Keyshawn.
Yeah. I thought that same thing earlier too. That night I was like, man, where's Murata? He should be showcased.
They're probably future opponents. I think they're gonna be a future matchup.
And
look, man, I can't crown these guys. Like, who's the dude that fought that Algray dude? It was that Shushu that fought Algray.
Oh, Shushu. Shushu fought that night. I don't remember who his opponent was, but he's damn good too. You didn't like his style?
No, he fought dude. The dude he fought was like Algray. He was like just a tough son of a bitch, man.
Yeah, it was a good fight, right? He looked good in it, Shushu.
No. I don't. That guy should have been gotten out of there. I just can't crown people that are fighting pizza truck guys.
No. You're not talking about Shushu. You're talking about what is it?
Tucker. Nah, I seen that fight, but that guy was limited as shit too.
Yeah, no, I think you guys are critical. I think you guys are very critical.
No. The hot take is just that I can't crown these guys when they're fighting pizza delivery guys.
No, that's fair.
The thing.
I mean, I think
these guys
fair.
are not full-time fighters. Now, Shushu, Tucker, and Keyshawn, they probably fight full-time. But most people in boxing have like Joe Smith. These guys all have jobs. They got 9 to 5s. It's very rare that you're coming up and you don't have a 9 to 5 or have some kind of side hustle.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I think everybody comes up the same way. I get you 100%. But I think these guys, they look pretty damn good to me, in my opinion. I don't think that there's very hardly a can't miss guy in boxing. Okay.
Yeah,
I think
but
Boots
against
is one guy that's a can't miss. Like I think he's a can't miss.
I don't know with Keyshawn. I haven't seen any like usually even when you fighting a bum, like damn, like you saw his footwork. Damn, you saw how he slid to the left and used his head movement and counter punch. He just kind of seems like an aggressive fighter who places his punches well, and not to the point where I'm like, damn, he overwhelms the fighters like so much. He's gonna give a lot of people problems with that pressure. It's kind of, I haven't seen anything to wow me. I haven't seen anything for me to like even consider him like a prospect on the watch.
Yeah, like that guy Torres, that heavyweight. Remember, it was like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
he looked the most spectacular. But look at the guy. That dude, makes Subway sandwiches. I can't call him.
No, I'm with you on that. But I mean, this isn't okay. But we got to be fair. This isn't new to boxing. I mean, if you remember the classic one, like Chavez Jr. was getting on pay-per-views fighting guys with like late knee braces and stuff.
Cab drivers.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So like this isn't new. But I get you. Okay. None of these guys are for sure things. I'll agree with you on that. Like I said, there's very few do you have a for sure thing. Like, okay, Bam Rodriguez was a for sure thing, I thought. When I saw Boots, I thought, oh, that's a for sure thing. Right? When I saw Virgil, I thought that was a for sure thing. Not a lot of guys are for sure things, but I think they have a lot of talent and I want to see them develop more. Yeah.
Yes, they do.
So, yeah, I think look at with Keyshawn, people were saying like, oh, I think he could beat Ryan. I thought that was dead wrong, right? I seen people push back on that, right? That he can't be Ryan right now. But he's a guy that I think is going to be very, very interesting once he gets like 12 fights. He might be able to fight for a title at that point. Now that is something special.
Look, Ezra. My point when bringing up Keyshawn is like you brought up Richard Torres, but nobody's talking about Richard Torres being this special fighter. A guy like Tiger Johnson. Yeah. Nobody's talking about him being a special fighter. Jahai Tucker and Shushu. Nobody's talking about these guys like this guy's a can't miss prospect. This guy's elite. This guy's gonna be one of the best in the division. I'm like, nobody's talking about those guys like that. People are talking like that about Keyshawn.
Yeah, well, they're talking about Shushu like that.
My counter's kind of get that too. Yeah, he's kind of getting that too.
My counter argument is like, okay, well, what have we seen from him to make us think that? And I had tweeted something. I was like, yo, keep that guy very, very, very far away from Edwin De Los Santos. You want to promote this guy. It would be fun. You should be thrown in jail. You throw that guy in with somebody like that.
Keyshawn talks crazy too.
How old is
22.
He's young too, right? He's young too. Okay, yeah, that's a fair comparison. Yeah,
22 years old, young boy.
And you pick up for sure with Keyshawn.
I like. There's not even a doubt in my mind, man. I don't
think that's outrageous. I don't think that's outrageous.
If they make that fight tomorrow, I'm emptying my bank account and taking it and betting it.
Yeah, I don't think it's outrageous. I don't think it's outrageous. I seen that. I seen you going back and forth on that one. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of times, like I said, guys are just promoted well. They got the things that I said like behind him. And you put him in the right spot, and that's what happens. But I think Keyshawn Davis is going to be very good. I think he's going to be at least like a top level contender. I think that's his floor. It's like very high. Whether he's like a pound for pound great, like I said, there's no guarantees.
Yeah, if he just becomes a champ, then it was worth it. Like you don't have to be a superstar pound for pound. You can get a belt, defend it, and then you lose it, become a gatekeeper. That's usually the trajectory. Which isn't bad. Like
like I'm saying, we it's hard to tell. Like there's been guys that, like I said, people said they were can't miss, and then just never lived up to. I mean, like if you remember, Adrian Broner at one point was the next Floyd. Like that was what his thing was. He was the next Floyd Mayweather, and everyone kind of thought. Like a lot of people thought that. And I honestly, at one point, I kind of was like, I mean, I just like he's not as defensively as good as Floyd, but his offense is like really amazing. And I was like, damn, this guy might be very, very good. And look at it, I felt it became way short of what they thought he was going to be.
Well, to be fair to Adrian, two things. One, like his discipline issues, we never got to see the full potential of him. And two, I feel like he was mismanaged. They moved him up from 135 to 147. He beat Paulie for a belt, which I felt like was strategic matchmaking. He should have just went back down. Instead, he stood at 47 and fought fucking Michaels Maidana. It's like,
if you remember the Paulie fight, I mean, Paulie had a case that he could have possibly won that fight. Like that was a very close fight.
I thought Broner won, but I'm not gonna say he blew him out though.
Yeah, I just thought that was a competitive fight, and I thought that those were kind of like warning signs at that point. I was like, yeah, you could probably just drop him back down and be like, hey, let's figure this out. Figure out the weight issues. But yeah, you're right.
I remember thinking like, yo, Maidana is gonna get washed. I thought
that too.
And then he didn't.
I remember after he won that fight, I was like, oh, he's going to fight Floyd next. And I remember my friend was like, he's not going to fight Floyd. And I was like, I guarantee you he fights Floyd next. Like, this is like the perfect storyline. There's no way it doesn't
setup.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way he doesn't fight Floyd next.
Yeah, man. No, my God. What's that?
Oh, do you guys consider, because you brought up for Broner, like we never saw his full potential. To me, like discipline is like an attribute, right? Like that's like a skill like that someone has. And I don't really use like your discipline as an excuse, because I'm just like, some guys have extreme discipline and that's like a skill that they have that you could develop or just born with. But if you're not like disciplined to your craft and staying trained and everything like that, I'm not going to use that as an excuse for you. Like I don't know how do you feel about that?
That's in any sport, right?
That's the way I see it.
I mean, I see your point. What I was trying to say is like, maybe people weren't off as far as how good he could be. Maybe he just didn't, Maybe he just didn't dedicate himself to be as good as he could be.
That's what I'm saying, but that's a skill, though, right? Like we would say that, though,
No,
right?
no,
Like that's an
but
ability.
if I'm predicting that you're gonna be the next Floyd Mayweather, how the fuck am I supposed to know that you're gonna have the dedication Floyd Mayweather had?
No. Yeah, I get
Going
that.
by
I
your
get that.
skills and what I see in the ring. You know what
But I'm saying though, like, yeah, but I'm saying like, okay, so like you would say though, like Adrian Broner, him being not maybe his full potential because of his lack of discipline isn't an excuse of why he didn't become that, but it's more of what he lacks as far as the ability to be disciplined. That's the way I'm saying. Like I never saw it as an excuse. I just saw it as like a lack of something that you needed.
No, I'm not using that as an
No, I
excuse.
get you. I'm just curious if that's what you think too. If you agree with that thought process.
I know. I mean, being disciplined is definitely a skill. It's a skill in life, not just boxing. What I'm trying to say, like, if somebody at the time, I'm not going to criticize somebody's prediction of Adrian Broner if they told me, man, I thought this guy was going to be the next Floyd, because there's no way to measure how you handle success. This guy was ripped up, six-packed up, dedicated in the gym, coming up. Once he started getting money, started getting the flame, it's just he went crazy.
Yeah, but in the ring too, he started just throwing one punch at a time, not a lot of activity. So, even he didn't really grow as a fighter. Like even if you take a James Toney, even later on, he could just always pull something out of his bag. And he lacked discipline too, but he just was so good at fighting, had so many fights, he could always pull something out. You know what I mean?
James Toney didn't like to train. That was the biggest problem. He didn't like to train. He just liked to spar. That's why I tell people a lot of times, like sparring is actually a break sometimes for guys. Like if you're good enough, sparring is like way better than going to hit the pads or going to do drills or going to hit the bag. Like some dudes love to spar, but like not everybody likes hitting the pads. Not everybody likes to go train and stuff like that. And that's what that was James Toney's thing.
In the gym? You have to saw him in the gym?
I actually have seen James Toney, but not in Wildcard. Interesting enough, he trains at another gym in Van Nuys, and I was training there for a while. And it was like half fitness, half a boxing gym. It was very weird, but I got to work the ring in there by myself. That's what I needed because like Wildcard's so packed, so I needed to work there. And one time, like he would see him, he would come in and out. He was come and talk and stuff like that. And then one time I went in there and I was just gonna work out, hit the bag with my trainer, and he was in there with like 4 giant heavyweights, right? And I'm talking about James Toney's old as hell at this point, right? And he's talking about his comeback. He's like, I'm going to make a comeback. They're going to do sparring. He's going to spar 4 different heavyweights. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm probably not even going to train. I'm just going to watch this. So I'm watching, and he's training, he's sparring, but one of his feet doesn't work. Like his foot is just like dead. Like it doesn't work. So he has to. So for him to spar, he kind of has to lean against the ropes because every time he steps on his foot, it kind of like gives out. And I'm telling you, he goes like 10 rounds with this. Like he goes 10 rounds with like some of the strangest heavyweights you ever seen. Not like great guys, but just big guys. They're probably journeymen. And he's going 10 rounds with them, but he looks terrible. He's falling over the ring, but he just was crafty enough to get by. And I remember I was thinking like, I honestly think I could take James Toney right now. Like it won't be honorable, right? Because he's an old man, and and I'm like I'm my physical prime at that point. But I was like, I mean, I should probably get in there just for the story of it, right? But the story is that James Toney fought 10 rounds with 1 foot and leaned against the ropes to the other side. And his trainer, who I believe passed away since then, but he couldn't even stand. His trainer was sitting on a stool and was just yelling at him. Like when it was time to go in the corner, the trainer was just yelling from basically the floor on what to do. It was a spectacle. It was a complete spectacle, but it was a story to tell.
But he was crafty enough to just.
He was crafty enough to go. Yeah, he was crafty enough to get by with 1 foot leaning against the ropes as a crutch. He was crafty enough to get by.
That's hilarious, man.
Yeah. But all right, boys, I'm gonna leave you with that story. I appreciate you guys jumping on. Like I said, Broadway, I really appreciate it. Frank, always welcome. Please, like I said, when I get on here, it's always better to have guests, and I appreciate it. I want to hearing you guys' opinions. Before we leave, Broadway, do your advertisement, sir.
Guys, you can follow me on Instagram, Broadway Joel, on Twitter @_Broadway Joel, and of course on YouTube. Just type in Broadway Joel. Please go support the channel, man. The more subscribers I get, the better. I do a lot of interviews with Dominican boxers as well as Dominican managers. I've interviewed Samson Lukowitz. I've interviewed Michelle Rivera's father. And tomorrow, I'm actually interviewing a Dominican prospect, Hedry Cedeno Martinez, who's 7-0. He trains with Kenny Porter. That'll be at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. So definitely go check that out. He speaks English, so you guys don't have to worry about, me translating. I'm nothing like that. So definitely, please go check that out.
Broadway is the voice of Dominican boxing, but he does cover all boxing. As you can tell today, he has vast knowledge on everything boxing. So he is the voice of Dominican boxing, but he covers all boxing too. So if there's a big fight coming up, he will have a podcast and a YouTube video on it. So just keep up to date with him. He's very active. Frank, you got anything to advertise, my friend?
Nah, I may or may not start a channel, but I'm just on Twitter. Holla, Frank Bay Niner. Go ahead and say whatever the hell you want. Frank, it's about boxing.
And Frank will debate you. Me and Frank got in a heated debate like not too
long
ago.
It wasn't heated.
No, it was heated, Frank. You
was
were
it?
pissed. I could tell you were slamming your keyboard.
Pissed?
No,
okay,
I wasn't
you're
pissed.
right.
No. But Frank will debate you until he feels like he got the better of it, honestly. But and then so follow him, and of course follow my page. Let me throw my little thing in the back here. How can it pop up? What the hell? Okay, well, this isn't working. But Ezra Podcast on YouTube, Ezra Boxing on Twitter, Ezra Podcast on Apple, and Ezra Podcast on Spotify. You can basically find me anywhere that they have podcasts. We're also going to get Broadway up eventually on an audio form.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna need. I'm looking into that myself, and I'm also looking into selling shirts. I'm not there yet, but I got some cool designs on the way.
Stay tuned. And like I said, bro, we'll go over the audio thing. It's very easy. But thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys jumping on. Catch y'all later.
Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you. Peace.